What's going on, guys? Trey here with Ghost Tactical, and we're doing a little impromptu. I'm not using my nice camera, I'm using my laptop webcam, so I don't know how the quality is, but anyways, decided to kick it off and just see what's going on and see who's out there. G-Webs just got off air, and he spent the last 2 days or day and a half, I guess, live streaming the Gun Rights Policy Conference in Dallas, Texas, which we've been talking about for a while now. But the cool thing about that is it kind of give everybody a chance to see what it's like, what goes on there, and give you some ideas and a strategy of what you can do locally to help pro-gun and pro-Second Amendment legislation and where we are as a country with those policies. Send some, like I said, this was just an impromptu thing. I did send some links out to a couple of people. If you guys want one, come on with it. Let me know on the Gun Channel side. If you are on the YouTube side, what is going on, everybody? Like I said, it's kind of an impromptu thing to kind of take advantage of the thing. But we got Smeggy in the house right now. Smeg, what's going on?
Hey, how's everyone doing today? And I'll say, man, I'm fired up after the Gun Rights Policy Conference. Yesterday was a little more nerd talk, which gets me going, and then today was a little more, it's less dry, a little more inspirational, except for one segment I was not a fan of. But we can maybe talk about that when we get into it a little bit.
One there towards the end, a little bit.
Yeah, I was not a fan. I think his name's Alan or something.
Yeah.
I was not a fan of him.
Yeah. I think we all were probably thinking the same, but all right, we got Bill in the house. What's up, Cycle Camp?
Hi there. I'm just catching up on daily gun shows.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Matt's chat did get cut off this morning, maybe like 30 minutes into it. So I'm not really sure what happened, but maybe it's just bad Wi-Fi. I'm not real sure. Maybe YouTube is catching up with us all. So they're really not going to like this discussion if they don't like guns. And we're talking about gun rights and legislation. So we might not last very long. So we're gonna go with it as long as we can, guys. But yeah, basically, Bill, what we're talking about is G-Web spent the last day and a half basically live streaming, and I think Smeggy, did you have it embedded over there, or you had something embedded on the Every Second Matters page or something?
Yes, the Polite Society podcast. They were the ones that were like running the audio, and they put it on Facebook Live, and apparently they didn't feel like live streaming it also on YouTube, which to me is kind of dumb. I think they're cutting their audience in half or whatever, but that's their thing. Anyways, I embedded their coverage of it on Every Second Matters as well, just because it was better audio, because the microphones were going through their soundboard and then to the speakers, whereas G-Web's was just like his laptop microphone.
And what he caught, you know.
Yeah, the room was a little echoey and stuff. It's like it wasn't a bad connection. It wasn't anything. It wasn't bad equipment. It was just, the sound bounced off the walls inside the room.
That's right.
So yeah, I put that up there.
It wasn't bad, and yeah, I'm sure the audio was probably better on that. It sounds bad. I watched it from G-Webs the entire day and a half, if for no other reason, just to support his channel. But
I had his running. I mean, they were both available on Every Second Matters.
Yeah.
I just muted it and turned their audio. Like his camera was actually better. He was sitting kind of in the corner facing.
Yeah,
the
they were also like the side stage or something, weren't they?
Yeah. So all you saw was just like empty space and a couple people standing around. It's like you couldn't even tell who was speaking.
Let's see here. We actually got some people. Let's see
Hopefully,
here.
all these people watched the gun rights policy conference all weekend.
Yeah, I'm hoping that obviously a lot of people don't have 8 hours one day and then 4 hours the next to do it, but at least you got a chance, hopefully, to catch it a little bit because I was at work. I'm still at work, but I was at work both the days, and it was really good to kind of, um, if nothing else, have it on my phone in my pocket and my earbuds in, and if I couldn't sit down at the desk and listen to it, and there was some really really cool stuff. We can go through the room and kind of get your high points. I'll tell you what I thought that what I remember the most of the last 2 days, which I was a little apprehensive on how it would turn out, but when they brought was it the Detroit um, was it the chief of police or something like that? It was the sheriff from Detroit. He was there yesterday, and then the Black Guns Matter. That could have gone a lot of different ways yesterday, but the room was really receptive. And
Wait,
um,
the chief of police was there? Was that early in the morning because I missed the first maybe hour or so.
I want to say it was someone from Detroit. I don't know if he was a former cop or a cop or a sheriff or
Okay,
something. He
yeah,
was there right before. Who was that guy?
I know who you're talking about now. I do forget his name. I apologize for that, but
Yeah,
yeah, he does a bunch of training,
yeah,
and
that's what it was. And
it,
I guess he was helping the woman or something at one point or something like that.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah, okay.
he set up a thing for. I don't want to say it's just for minorities or anything because I don't believe it is, but it's definitely more like urban centric for people who maybe live in a bad
Yeah,
neighborhood, maybe wouldn't go get training otherwise. He set up a thing for that, so he does training, and
yeah,
yeah, you're right. I think he did help out with the one that gave free classes to women and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah,
yeah,
he wasn't the police chief, although our police chief is amazing,
yeah.
Chief Craig. Forget his first name, but
You
he
you
has
you had
come out.
actually talked about you and I have actually had a discussion off air about a month or so ago about the cool stuff that he's at least trying to get done in Detroit.
Yeah, what one of the first things he said when he came here, I think he's from like San Diego or San Francisco or something like that. For he's from somewhere like in California, and he was talking about how he used to be anti-gun, and then he realized that law-abiding citizens who have carry permits are not the problem.
Right.
So one of the first things he said when he came to Detroit was, "Listen, guys, our response times suck. It's just a fact. Our response times suck, and I'm
It is
going to
what
work
it
on making them better. But until then, get your carry permit. You are the first line of your own defense. We will come and help you as soon as possible, but you need to help yourself first." And I just thought that was amazing.
Absolutely. Real quick, let's just kind of run through the room out there. On the YouTube side, guys, if you're here, awesome. And like I said, this is an impromptu thing. So if you're here, phenomenal. Say, hey, what's up? Let us know if you got to watch or listen to any of the gun rights policy conference. If not, we're going to spend a little bit of time. We're not going to be here for several hours. We're going to sit here to kind of recap what was being said. Maybe there's some initiatives that you might be able to take locally and do your thing. But let's see, you got other Travis out there, Gary, Hemi, Jared are out there. Obviously, Smeggy is there. So Mel the Nut, Mel went to. He didn't get a chance to listen, but he was at a match yesterday. It was Veterans Day. That's pretty cool. He finally got to shoot an M1 Garand with live ammo instead of blanks. That's pretty awesome. So, bet you that was a good time. On the gun channel side, let's see who we got over there. We got Jeff NC, John Z, Pinch, Patriot, Roth, Gary. Welcome, guys. If you guys want in, let me know, and I'll get you a link sent out to you. Like I said, this was just kind of just an impromptu thing. Bill, did you say you did or did not get a chance to watch or listen very much the last couple of days?
I did watch a little bit. I was doing some work up here in the shop and was able to listen in while I was doing that. I use that kind of stuff as background, like when I'm cleaning guns and things like that.
Absolutely.
The part that
Yes.
I had a lot of fun with was the guy that talked about the lead And I thought that was interesting because it turns out it's the same bogus science that they used when they got rid of DDT, which of course killed millions of people around the world
Yeah.
when they were no longer able to export DDT to countries like Africa and shit that needed to kill mosquitoes and DT flies and shit like that. So I thought it was pretty interesting when he talked about how the progression of how lead got banned and how this whole bit about lead being, everybody understands that lead is toxic, but it's not toxic if you don't eat it. And the whole bit was they never proved that any of the birds or any of that crap had actually ever been harmed by it. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and Clover Tech had actually mentioned, I don't know, it was a week or so ago. It might have been off air. Hell, they all run the same these days, but he does a lot of reloading. He said he's got a lot of lead, and obviously, if you're not around an enormous amount of lead for an extended amount of time, and like you said, you don't ingest it and all that, it it's not as bad as what has been led you to believe. I mean, yes, it's not good for you, but just coming in casual contact with lead and using it every now and then and all that is not going to be what they suggested years ago. Is, it's not like, mercury and all that is, they all try to get you away from mercury and lead and all that, but I'm not saying it's good for you, but like you said, unless you're going to ingest it or you're going to be around it, it's not as bad as what people think. So
Right. Yeah, I also really enjoyed his
mhm.
presentation, I guess you'd call it. But like I said, they could kind of show that, yeah, it might be harmful to, an individual condor or an individual eagle or whatever. But as far as the population as a whole, there was no significant thing. So it's almost the same tactic they use if it saves just one child, when they try to do some of these different laws. And it's like, yeah, it's not going to stop, all murders, but if we save
Right,
just one, it will be worth it. And sometimes, yes, does it suck when, there is one murder? Of course it does.
right,
But sometimes it's not worth it to, destroy our entire way of living if it saves just one. I mean, if we all lived in a padded room and got, fed food from the leader or something, no one would kill each other because we're locked in a padded room. But that's not an even trade-off. Like, I'm not willing to do that. That's part of
right.
freedom, is the risk involved.
Yeah, one of the, I mean, I really enjoyed the whole 2 days, and I was listening. I probably would listen to about 80% of it. I was at work, so I had to kind of jump in and out. But for the most part, I had it, at least in, like Bill had it in the background to where I could at least listen. But I can't remember if it was last night or if it was this morning. I don't remember, but it was I think it was one of the first ones this morning. They were leading off talking about taking the literal interpretation of the Second Amendment. He says, well, it doesn't say the right to bear firearms, it was the right to bear arms. And then he also was talking about, it was yesterday afternoon. It was it might have been the guy from Detroit or a cop or someone was talking about, was talking about guns are not being used for law enforcement as mass carnage weapons. They are to protect the innocent bystanders in their area. And I thought that was a good thing, because a lot of people will sit there and say all guns are there for war. He says we're not asking to get the weapons the police department are using are not the same weapons that the military are using. These are not weapons of war. These are the same guns that you can go buy at your local gun shop and be proficient on your own, are the same guns that we're using as police officers to help protect and serve the community. And I thought that was really a good point, because a lot of people sit there and say even cops are using weapons of war. And he says, no, we're using the same handguns, rifles, and shotguns that you guys are using. We're not using 50 cal, fully automatic M60s and all that. He says, we're using everyday guns. And I thought that was a really good segment as well, to kind of describing what the police force is using as well. I don't know if you guys caught that one or not.
Guys,
What's
Yep,
up,
yeah.
John?
how's everybody doing?
Good, good.
Can I just?
We're just kind of I just decided to just jump on and kind of capitalize on the last day and a half. So, did you get a chance to watch or listen much to the
I
conference?
I did, and I thought it was very informative, and they made a lot of good points. Like the point you were talking about now. I think it's a little difficult for some people to really comprehend that there's only war if bad guys want it, and therefore the weapons are made into weapons of war when there's a need for a response. It's not war, and they're not weapons of war if one person needs to defend themselves. But there are bad people in the world, and that's one of the things that the Constitution makes very clear, to protect the government, to protect, and the people the right to protect themselves as well. And people, for some reason, want to create fantasy arguments for things that don't exist in people's minds because they're not mind readers. Not everybody, like you said, not everybody is a gun. Not everybody is a whatever you want to call all the negative stuff they refer to people as. But that's the argument they're trying to make, and it's not very sensical.
Well, no, and you know, I think that the biggest problem that the anti-gun people is they try to use scare tactics, and it works for a lot of ways. But the scare tactic they use is they lump all guns and all weapons into one. And if you like having a 380 that you can carry in your pocket every day, then you're also must be the same person who's looking to go and score a 50 cal fully auto machine gun and want to take down the next movie theater. And it's a scare tactic that is obviously very effective. So I like to hear that, especially from the police officer side and the law enforcement side, saying, guys, we're not a local military. We are a police force that are using the same weapons that are available to you, that we're trying to help defend and protect you. And we're not out here looking for mass carnage. And I thought that was a good, because I think that there are a lot of people that just assume that just because I like to carry every day, it means that I'm going to be the next shooting spree guy. And that couldn't be farther from the truth.
Well, I mean, it's a fallacious argument that people are anti-gun. There's no such thing as people that are anti-gun. People are just anti-private guns because they want cops to have guns. They want the state
that's
to
true.
have guns.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Do what they want you to do. They just don't want you to be able to resist.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I love
cops having guns in America, or National Guard or the Army or any of that stuff. It's the private citizen. They don't want private citizens having guns. So they're not really anti-gun. They're anti-private guns.
Yeah.
You guys heard about the sheriff who made the statement that he's canceling all fees for carry permits for the citizens of his town. He canceled all the fees.
Yeah.
That was freaking awesome.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. Plus free training classes too.
Yeah. Yeah, he was that was the cool part, and he was talking about during the guy, it was I don't remember what segment it was, but I think it was him also, and he's like, look, it started out with a few people taking free training, and now it's up to X amount that's doing free training. He was like, that's just people right there that are possible new members into the community. And sometimes it takes free stuff to lure them in. And it's 100 to 200 people now that are not only included in the community, but they're getting training and being proficient. So they're not just someone that says, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind having a gun. They're actually doing something about it and learning how to use one properly, because now that 1 or 200, now if they all tell 1 or 2 people, now we're looking at 1,000 people. And that's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Right. Yeah. And that's, it's funny how fast you start forgetting stuff, because I've already forgot who was talking about this. It was one of the people that provide training, and it was either the lady that was providing lady training, the guy from Detroit who was providing training for other people, or maybe even the Pink Pistols training people. I forget even who it was.
Yeah.
That's amazing because it was either today or yesterday. But one of the things they
Somewhere
said
in
is
the last 36 hours.
yeah. At some point, someone said something that I really liked, and it was they were talking about, you know, they're providing training for these people, and then someone will come out being anti and saying like, oh, we don't like what you're doing and blah blah blah. And the response was, listen, these people, like as of right now, as the laws state right now, they could already go and pass a background check. They could already go and buy a gun. They could already go and get a carry permit. So all we are doing is teaching them to be more responsible and safe. And you're against
That's right.
that? Like,
Right.
we're not giving out more guns. We're just teaching them how to be responsible with them. How can
Absolutely.
you be against that?
Patriot over here on the YouTube side says he thinks it was the guy from Black Rifles Matter. I really enjoyed that guy. I think that was yesterday. That whole segment was pretty good. Um, because like I say, it could have gone a couple different directions, but it was pretty awesome. And I don't remember who it was. Once again, it's you hear 35 speakers over all this time. Who was it that was talking about, and it was kind of going the same as path is all these people that already have access to concealed carry permits to purchase handguns and to get training or belong to ranges that don't. Um, why not? And is it fear of that, or is it laziness, or is it just complacency to where I don't really care? Well, that's the problem. And I think they talked about this morning with Trump being in office, the apathy. And we've all talked about this actually on numerous different shows and platforms over the last month or so, is the apathy because we do have a Republican in office. We do have, quote unquote, control of the House and the Senate as far as Republican numbers go. But exactly what has gotten done. And today, this morning, was it was there towards the end. It was a great segment about what we can do and locally. And and Smeggy and Bill and John and all of us have been preaching this on our different shows over the last couple of weeks, but couldn't ring more true is contact your local congressman, your state senators, your U.S. representatives, your U.S. senators. They work for you, and tell them, look, our party agenda and our party platform is the Second Amendment. If there is Second Amendment legislation out there, go ahead and please be vocal in your support of it. If you don't, then we will go try to find someone to run against you when it's re-election time. If you don't think they're going to take you seriously and you're in an area that might have a lot of pro-gun people in the area, go write a letter and get everyone to sign it. Get it notarized. Make it an official affidavit and send it to that congressman or senator and say, look, we're all serious. You may not believe us, but if you do not vote, or if you vote against any of this legislation that's coming up on the floor, we will replace you when it's time for re-election. And you'll be amazed at how quickly they may not respond to you, but I guarantee they'll hear you. So that is going to be very, very important, because the SHARE Act and the National Reciprocity Bill are all coming down the pipeline. And like that gentleman said this morning, President Trump has made it publicly, he has acknowledged and pledged that he will sign any pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment legislation that comes on his desk. Then let's get it done, guys. And it also comes from us. It's not just our representatives. It's not just our senators. If they don't hear our voices, then they will vote their conscience, and their conscience usually leads where the money goes. Let's make ourselves be their voice. Tell them what you think. Tell them what you want to do, and threaten re-election to them. They will hear that. I promise you.
Another thing that helps us in the step forward is the appeals court decision in Washington. Did you guys hear about that?
Well, yeah, their
I'm aware of
decision
that
not to
about
rehear the case.
DC gun ban.
Yeah, the ban went out the window, and they said you can't stop people from. You can't be a may issue. You have to be a shall issue state.
Yeah, and unfortunately, even though they agreed, they also denied their appeal to hear on bond. That doesn't really mean anything because the DC still has to the end of the year to file certiorari with the Supreme Court.
And hopefully the Supreme Court will tell them the same thing, and then all the lawsuits will start pouring in.
Right.
Then
Well,
we'll see
and
how.
that's the thing though. That's what they have to consider is if they want to, risk that. Because if it goes to Supreme Court says, yeah, you can't have just cause. Not only does that affect them, now that strikes down any like may issue state that has some type of
Exactly, exactly, Smaggy.
Yeah, they could end up with another Heller on their hands, which is exactly what they don't want. But DC has a reputation. They get told you can't do this, and then they just come up. They slither around and find another way not to do it. So I don't.
Well, and that was something I found interesting. I saw an article about that, and they were quoting the Attorney General for DC, and they basically said, we're going to like advise our police chiefs or whoever, the Metro Police to still use good reason and until the court orders us not to. So they basically said, yes, we know that you struck this down and we're not supposed to do it. And we advise to keep doing it anyways until you write an order telling us to stop.
And was it yesterday? I just had to step away for a second, but was it yesterday that someone was talking about a lot of the stuff that they try to announce locally that isn't even basically constitutional, but they're taking the chance that no one calls them on it. You remember that segment? He said, guys,
Yeah,
if you
they said
hear
something.
something that's going on at your local cop or your sheriff or someone's telling you you can't do this, or this, and it sounds fishy and it sounds unconstitutional, then it probably is. So it is our responsibility to kind of question that stuff too. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I heard the last part. I heard question the legalities in DC or something.
Yeah, it was the DC good reason thing.
Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, the good reason, yeah.
But yeah, that's a good point with state preemption. The guy was telling the story about there's a city park or something. They put up a no gun sign, so they challenged it, and because the state had preemption law saying like you can't have stricter laws than what the state has, and so the first time, okay, city lost, they took the signs down. 6 months later or whatever, a year later, put the signs back up. They sued him again. City lost, took the signs down. And they did it again. And this time, when the city lost, they had to pay legal fees. And I think he said it was about $1 million worth of legal fees or something. Well, all of a sudden, that park hasn't had a no gun sign put back up yet.
You're kidding me. You're
Gee,
kidding.
I wonder why.
And so I know, and I don't remember if it was Eric from Florida Carry that was talking about this. I know he has talked about this in the past because he was working on that law for Florida where, they had the state preemption and they were going to add in, oh, and by the way, if your city loses a preemption case, you have to pay attorney fees. And that stops a lot of smaller towns from even trying it. Or if they do try it and you say, hey, just so you know, I'm thinking about suing you. Okay, whoop, sorry, just kidding. They take the signs down because they don't want to have to pay that.
Yeah. Hemi out there said that in Wisconsin, the Wisconsin State Senate Bill 169, the right to carry without a permit, passed the Senate last week. So
Awesome.
that's a really good step, and let's see what the governor does. Hopefully, the governor is pro-gun and doesn't sit on it. I don't know.
Unless it started in the Senate, though, so I think it still has to go over to the House, right?
I'm
the
not
Senate
sure
bill
how
once it's
I don't
passed.
know how their state legislature works. You know, if it started in the Senate, then yeah, we'll have to go. But if it was, well, I guess it's a Senate bill, so I guess it would have to. But if the Senate typically, and how in Arkansas it usually works, I can't speak for other states, is if it passes, especially if it's an overwhelmingly pass on one side, the other side will usually follow suit. And then it goes to the governor at that point. But hopefully everything goes well. But that's a pretty good thing up in Wisconsin. At least
Oh.
you always want to hear about something pro gun being passed, not shut down, you know.
No, I just want to hit a question real quick here. Jeff and GunChannels is saying, can you put a no gun sign at your house? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
That's
Yes, you can.
your house
That's an
is your
individual
thing.
right.
Your house is
That's
not
private
the
property.
public park. Your house is not the
That's correct.
sidewalk.
That's correct. That's why you can do that at your store. If you own a store, you can put up a no firearms sign at your store because that's a private company, a private store. We're talking public land, parks. Um, I don't know. I guess they could even go if they're campgrounds. I guess you could do something like that if it's a state campground or whatever, because it's not a privately owned building or property.
Right. And then that would come down to the state, because the state might have a law saying that you can put stuff up. So I was just specifically talking about the one example where, the state does allow carrying in public places, and if a city goes against that, then they can strike it down.
For sure.
So yeah, one of the things I do want to go back and listen to, because like I said, I did miss the first part of Saturday, and that seemed like most of the state rights groups started off the day. So I missed about half of those. And I know they also they put up a panel. It's a half-hour long panel, and they have 5 people up there. Okay, so everyone gets 6 minutes to talk. It's like, but I still want to hear what's going on in all the different states.
How'd you miss it, Smegs? Was you drunk?
No, it
Hey,
was
guys.
Saturday morning. I was sleeping.
Hey, Tony.
Patriot asked a question, and I don't know the answer to this, but maybe you guys, which is, didn't they state that if a municipality makes a gun-free zone, they're required to have security? I did not hear that, but did anybody else hear that?
I
Like I
don't
said, I
know.
was in and out a little bit.
They were toying with that in Missouri.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea if you're going to make like you said, a municipality is going to set gun-free zones. Then yeah, I think that for the citizens' protection, I think that having security would be a good idea. That's a good point.
Forcing you to have security on private property is a no-go.
Well, but we're talking about municipality. If a municipality
Okay.
makes a gun-free zone, off-duty cops or whatever, or someone, I mean, they could do a whole different variety of different things.
Right.
But if your municipality makes a gun-free zone, having required security is a good idea. I believe that's a good idea.
Right. Yeah, and
If
I think that all comes down to what.
Protect myself out of it, then I want someone there to protect me in case an idiot walks in.
Right. That would depend, I think, on what state also, because I do remember another one. I don't remember what state it's from, but it's not that they're required to have security. However, if it's a gun-free zone, they are liable for the security or something. So basically, if something happens, your family can sue them for not providing.
Absolutely.
That's what Missouri was toying with right there.
Yeah, so it's you don't have to have security, but you're taking a risk that if something happens and the people there are not able to protect themselves, you're in fault for not protecting them.
And see, that's the problem that drives me nuts is, I'm just going to use Missouri, and I don't know the whole thing about Missouri, but let's just assume that Missouri was toying with that. Were they toying it with because they were concerned about the safety of their citizens, or because they were going to be sued and be held liable? I would like to think that they were concerned about the welfare and the security of their citizens, but I happen to think that it was probably because they were worried about getting sued, and you're doing it for the wrong reasons, guys. That's what I think. But I don't know the whole circumstances with what Missouri was trying to do. But you're right. I mean, they would be liable, and that's on them. What's up, Tony?
Not much. Just bored to death on a Sunday afternoon.
Same here. That's why I'm doing this. I've got football
Honestly,
going back.
I didn't join because I'm bored. I joined because I'm fired up.
Well, that's why I
think
did. I mean, that's why I did this. Is I thought it was a great opportunity to discuss a lot of stuff that was discussed this weekend, and you know, the people that are joining are obviously equally either excited or equally as bored as Tony. So either way, you're listening to two-way legislation talk. So either way, hopefully we can get the ball rolling a little bit here.
Oh. Well, I want to speak on something then that I heard today. It was from the lady who talked really, really fast, and she had way too much coffee this morning, and she was talking like this like all the time.
Yeah.
That one?
Yeah.
She did say something that I would like. It sparked something in me, man. It was like she basically was saying, you know, hey, you guys keep calling me the enemy. Like I'm a liberal. I'm a leftist. You know, someone mentioned, hey, I think she watches Yankees videos. But anyways, you know, and she was talking about like we need to. It's not always us versus them. Blah blah blah. Whatever. You know, from the Democrats' point of view, like their platform, their gun control thing is not their main concern. And so I had typed this in the chat. I think it's a good way of summing it up. The one issue voters on the right are gun voters.
That's right.
One issue voters on the left are gay right voters, pro-choice voters, you know, welfare supporting
or
voters.
Civil rights, some sort of
those
civil
are the things
race.
they actually care about.
Yeah.
The gun control thing is separate. So the idea being, if the Democrats said, hey, we're going to get away from this gun control thing, they're not going to lose very many voters. However, if Republicans say, hey, we don't support gun rights anymore, they're going to lose most of their voters.
I freely admit that I'm a Second Amendment voter. That's my bedrock issue.
Yeah, you know, I am. I mean, I don't sit there and claim to be any party. I'm probably much more of a libertarian than anything. I'm kind of conservative when it comes fiscally conservative, but socially, I'm pretty liberal. Gay rights, go for it. I don't care. It's not hurting me. If they want to be happy, let them be happy. Much more of a constitutionalist, I guess, and libertarian than anything is I take what's in the Constitution extremely serious. I always have done that. So when it comes down to voting, absolutely, Second Amendment is extremely important because that's outside of the gun community. People don't think about asking the candidates what they are, and they don't talk. It's not a sexy thing. They'll mention the NRA, and I'm not the biggest fan of the NRA. That's just my personal feeling. I'd rather support another Second Amendment activist organization. But you know, everyone says, "Well, I'm a member of the NRA." Well, that's great. Anyone can send $35 in the NRA and say you're pro-gun, but what have you done to show that you're pro-gun? Do you carry yourself? Do you shoot very often? I mean, what exactly do you do that's going to make me believe that you're going to be actually pro-gun, not just I like guns? There's a difference between being pro-gun and I own a gun, or I like guns. That's not what we're talking about here. So yeah, I agree with you.
Involved in education? Do you get involved in conversation with people, stuff like that?
Are you going to, the biggest thing is if I ask you in a public setting about being pro-gun, are you going to answer the question, or are you going to very quietly and quickly move in their direction and start talking about something else? That'll answer the question right there, you know?
Oh, you know, you touched on something just a second ago where you said you're not a huge fan of NRA and you'd like to support other ones. I'm going to put the call out there right now for everyone listening, you guys in here, all that stuff. Consider supporting the Second Amendment Foundation. They're the ones that put on this conference. They're the ones that ponied up the money for the hotel. They're the ones that invited all these people here. They organized all the stuff. And I think they are one of the best gun rights groups. I personally am a lifetime member of the Second Amendment Foundation. That's just what I chose to do. Actually, as of last year for the
I'm
Gun
not a
Rights Policy
lifetime member,
Conference.
but I probably should. I've been there for the last 3 years, so I might as well go ahead and do that. But
If
yeah,
I'm
I'm a
not
member of
mistaken, they're one of the ones that's like it's actually pretty cheap to be
it is.
a life member.
It is. I just put the link out there. If you on the YouTube side, and I want to put it on the Gun Channel side, it's saf.org.
Slash,
And like
you
Smiggy
forgot
said,
slash GRPC. I got the link up there already.
well, no, I'm just talking about the actual website to Second Amendment Foundation without the
Okay,
Gun Rights
okay.
Policy Conference. I'm just talking about just the Second Amendment Foundation in general. That's their website.
Roger that. Roger that.
You can, but yes, you actually are an overachiever. You went an extra step. So
Sorry. Maybe they
So, anyway, it's something to think about. And I'm glad all of you guys are out here listening. That shows that you obviously care about the Second Amendment. I'm assuming most people watching this watch this stuff this weekend, which means you're one of the gun nerds. That like yesterday was a little tough to listen to at times. I can fully
it
admit
was.
that. It was dry. They had some lawyers up there. They had people talking about bill number 5923, blah blah blah, whereas and blah blah blah. I get it, but personally, I nerd out on that stuff. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. And if you guys listening also enjoy that kind of stuff, consider supporting the Second Amendment Foundation.
Well, and what you'll find is the reason why I actually started to join the SAF about 3 years ago was, and even today I'm still a member of the NRA, but I have over the last few years they're more of a politico instead of gun rights, in my opinion. I think they've kind of just stirred and steered the other way. My biggest thing with Second Amendment Foundation is, hold on, let me get Clover. He's finally showed up. My biggest thing with the Second Amendment Foundation is the NRA. When you go and see where they're fighting these big things. What I like about the Second Amendment Foundation is they'll go into these cities and small towns and they'll sue a government official, or they'll sue a city, or they'll sue someone on behalf of someone because they don't feel that they're getting the right attention to that cause. And that's what I'm a really, they don't go for the big stuff anymore. They are trying, they do go to big stuff, but they don't forget these small town lawsuits that are out there. And that's what I've really enjoyed watching, to see what all they've done. And they'll go after individual politicians if they have to. That's what I like. Instead of the NRA's kind of, I don't know, they're kind of glazed over and just going big time political arena and trying to show their power. And that's great. You have a lot of numbers, but what are you doing with that? I don't necessarily think the NRA in the last few years has done enough. And I think the Second Amendment Foundation is doing a lot. So yeah, that's why I like them.
I just joined.
Hey, what's up? Oh, you just joined the SAF?
Yes.
Good people, man. Really good people.
I'm curious though, as the joining fee of the NRA is not tax deductible, but they're tax deductible for the SAF. That's kind of a curiosity.
That's the difference between a for-profit and a not-for-profit organization.
Yes, sir.
No, that's because the NRA itself is not the not-for-profit. You have to join like ILA or one of the other subsidiaries, and they had to break themselves up because there's certain lobbying they could not do if they were a true nonprofit. So they had to break their organization into different structures in order to make that happen. So they're manipulating the tax code in order to, they had to change that so that they could still do the lobbying activities they wanted to do, because a regular 503c can't lobby. So that's in the main NRA.
So
something to keep in mind when you see the, well, that's not tax deductible thing. That is a charitable issue. So if you run a channel and you do content, it's technically still tax deductible because it falls under memberships and fees, and you can write that off because you are a, whatever gun rights channel, firearm related channel, and they view that the same as if you was to have, let's say you did tech and you had a subscription to some type of tech magazine or something like that, or a tech blog. So keep that in mind. I mean, that shouldn't weigh on your decision to support these places, obviously. But if you have a channel, regardless of whether they say it's tax deductible, they're talking about from a charitable standpoint with the average person. And for us creators, we can write that off. So that's a plus.
Personally, I don't care one way or another on it.
Yeah.
But I just found it curious that one was tax deductible and the other not.
Well, that just might weigh on the decision. What I was thinking about that when whoever it was mentioned the tax deductible thing, I was thinking that might weigh on the decision of a creator as to whether or not they do a 1 year or a lifetime. And if they know that they could write a percentage of that off, then why not just go ahead and do the lifetime?
Yeah. Patriot said it 8 hours straight. The only break was G Web's potato chip bag. The one yesterday was I don't know if it was a break or he just went out for a smoke break or whatever, but the camera was facing the corner. He put us literally in the corner for about 15-20 minutes. I did not appreciate that, damn it. You know,
you just turned that camera on so that we could watch and make sure no one stole his laptop.
I know. I'm just joking. But it was so funny for 15-20 minutes. It's like, damn, he put us in the corner.
You wouldn't think thievery would be a big problem at a national gun policy conference.
I think when it comes to electronics, it's a problem everywhere.
Yep, and here's the thing: you never know, right? Because I don't think many of the people attending might take something, but certainly could be someone walking down the hallway, glances in the conference room, and sees there's nobody in there because they were all in the other room grabbing lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
Pop by, grab it. You never know.
All right. Did anybody else find themselves trying to keep up with something that was going on in the room? There was an older guy that was there all day yesterday wearing a blue button-down shirt and black pants. I called him Blue.
You're my boy, Blue.
He was asleep. So that was kind of my thing, was I was enjoying to see if he's awake. Is he alive? I mean, at one point I thought we had to send a medic to him. Anybody else see Blue out there?
At one point, that's what I thought. I thought the guy was dead. He wasn't moving at all.
He didn't move for a while.
Yes, that was a entertaining side note.
Part of after some of these guys yesterday, some of them were I didn't necessarily keep me in, and it's not that I didn't like it, but they didn't keep me interested. So I find when G turned his camera on, I immediately try to find Blue and see what was going on with him.
If he was alive, breathing, if EMS was responding or something.
Yeah. Let's see here. We wanted to talk about now. What all did you guys get into? I had to step away for a second. What were you guys talking about in DC? About it being denied, or how in depth did y'all get to that? Because that's actually a pretty important topic. I think that the courts decided not to hear the appeal, which I think is a strong, strong message. I'm assuming they'll take it to the Supreme Court, but would you, after being denied at the circuit level, would you take it to the Supreme Court, or would you just say it is what it is?
I don't know that they will, because they're going to jeopardize it across the country if they do that. So it depends on whether they're willing to fall on their sword, so to speak, for the cause, and I think that liberals typically are.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That was the question, because I do believe if they take it to the Supreme Court, this is going to be, that's why I said this is a very, very important appeal process right here, because like you said, if they take it to the Supreme Court rules, like you said, it now opens up doors across the country, and that could be a huge, huge win for us if they take it to the Supreme Court, because I truly believe the Supreme Court will vote against their appeal, but that could be a huge, huge thing when you're talking about having to come up with a reason why you want a CCW. No, I don't. I don't have to come up with a reason why.
Well, you got to realize we've still got the same makeup on the SCOTUS as we did pre-Trump. So, even at that, I mean, we've still got to gamble. I mean, look at Kennedy. You never know.
And that is exactly what it comes down to. However, Kennedy did side with the pro-rights in Heller.
Right.
So if that's any indication, that means that he might do the same thing. However, they also earlier this year refused to hear Peruta, which was, a Kerry type issue. So even if DC takes it to Supreme Court might decide not to hear this one either.
That's true.
So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. It is something that we will be updating on Every Second Matters, second day of every month. Little self-plug there. Which, actually, I'm going to keep plugging it because it is tomorrow. And the inspiration for it came from the Gun Rights Policy Conference. When G-Webs went there a couple of years ago, he was like, hey, this is awesome. We should do this every month. And that's kind of Every Second Matters is supposed to be like a monthly version of the Gun Rights Policy Conference. So I think everyone should check that out tomorrow at some point. I'm not sure what time we're going to do it.
Sorry about that. I had to go live and actually kind of get busy. It kind of sucks, but it's all good. So what did I miss? Anything special?
No, I just plugged Every Second Matters, basically.
Yeah. Who's hosting that tomorrow? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
But it will definitely be on the GunChannels Every Second Matters page. Whatever YouTube page is doing it, the video will be on GunChannels. So that's your go-to place, just like for the Gun Rights Policy Conference. That was the page we used.
Let's see. Pant says on the Gun Channel side that he joined the Buckeye Firearms Association last month. And if I'm not mistaken, did they not win the Grassroots Organization of the Year award yesterday?
They won some award. I don't remember which one, but yeah, they definitely won the award.
That was when G-Web said congrats Pink, and I said congrats Pink, and then someone came in and says, wait, did Pink win something? No, Pink didn't win anything. It's just from Ohio. But no. Let's see, where do I? Oh, okay. Hey, Smeg, this is an actual legit question from Patriot. He said, where can he pick up an Every Second Matters t-shirt? And I believe it's at gearwebsites.com. Is that correct?
Correct.
Oh, yep. Ross just put the link in there.
Well, not really. I think you can get there from there, but the shirt itself is on. I'm trying to find it now because I did see that question.
Okay.
I think the shirt itself is from Spreadshirt. But yeah, if you go to gearwebsites.com, it's actually down near the bottom. You'll see the shirt, but when you click on it, it takes you over. Oh, no, it doesn't. Huh. All right, here. I got a better link for everybody out there. You can get the shirt there.
Out there, or do you?
Yeah. See, I'm not a mod on your thing. I'll put it in the...
Here. I'll make you a mod real quick. Hold on. I'll make you a mod real quick. Say something.
But anyways, that is one of those things where...
You're a mod.
Oh, thanks.
And
it's provided by, like I said, I think it's Spreadshirt.
I think it is too, if I'm not mistaken. I know about a month or so ago, I tried to go get one, and it said store not available. I don't know if G knew about that or fixed it.
Yeah, I just clicked on it. Huh. All right. Well, I'll look into it for you guys and try and figure it out. But yeah, you're right. It's not showing. Maybe he took his stuff down off of Spreadshirt or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'll talk to him about it. I mean, I'm not the official Every Second Matters dude. I just help out a bunch. I'll try and figure it out.
Yeah.
It might have been that the website was just down for whatever.
That could be. Well, no, because Smeg just tried to do it again right here, and it didn't go through. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Let's see here. Sean out
I'll put a
there. What's
link
up,
up
Sean?
to every second matter.
I mean, this is not a show. This is just a sitting around bullshitting thing. But he said if y'all get a chance to look up the video from the Marilyn Manson concert last night, his stage fell on him. Two gigantic 1911s fell over and smashed him.
What the hell?
Pretty awesome.
Now, is Bloomberg going to count that as gun violence?
He'll set up a committee to look into it. Oh man. Ralph says the Poco Ghibli shirt is gone. I don't know what the Poco Ghibli shirt is, but it may be gone. Don't know.
Yeah, no, it's Poco Ghibli shirt was only around for like a day. That's from one of Matt's chats. It was a joke,
Oh,
and Joe just went ahead and made it, and then he took it down like 2 days later. So I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in existence that owns one, but there might be one other person. I'm not sure.
now Clover came up with some new shirts in the past week. Do you want to put a link out there and do all of that? 'Cause I know you got some pretty interesting when it came to NFL and all that. You had some new shirts that you've added in the last week or two. You can put that link out there if you want.
Yeah, I would have to go find them, but yeah.
Well, you can go to clovertac.com and you should be able to shop through there. But here, I'll put
Yeah, if
that
you go
out.
to clovertac.com and click shop now, I mean, not a problem. Here, I'll just drop a link to the store.
Okay, go for it. Yeah. But
I
yeah,
think,
so you had
am
showed,
I a mod
me
on yours?
some-
I think I'm a mod on yours, right?
Pretty sure you are. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
Holy
Shame
hell!
on you.
Well, that's because
What the
you're always
hell?
you're in the panel. Say something,
Like a-
you know.
like a red-
Yeah, I
like a
have
redhead.
11 different mods out there.
Like a redheaded stepchild over here. Forget about me. That's all right.
Because you're always on the panel. It's like I told Ellis, if you want to be a mod, I can kick you off the panel. I'd rather have you on the panel though.
Right.
Say something on the YouTube side, bud. No, I'll go ahead. Actually, I can go back up and find the last time you said something. Where are you? We're up here.
Mod.
Mod.
Yeah, I added, and while you're doing that, what I'll do is I'll just screen share.
All right, you're a moderator.
Cool. Yeah, I've got, I added the eye
Yep, there you go.
stand here. And then kneeling is for running out the clock. And then my lawn chair pop shirt. So, yep.
There you go. Yeah, go to clovertech.com and you can check out those. Obviously,
I caught a little crap. Caught a little crap for the NFL shirts, honestly.
Did you really?
Yeah, I've had some
Wow.
people that.
Hey,
I don't think that.
guys.
I don't think that link's right, guys. So hang on. It looks weird.
Cycle Camp said everybody should yell because he's in a safe room and he has the volume up.
Ah, okay.
Well, maybe you should get louder speakers.
Or better headset or something. Interesting.
Cycle.
Okay, so what's going on over here in the chat?
Cycle,
Okay,
can
let's
you
try
hear
that one.
us?
There we go.
Oh, is Jeff
Oh, okay.
is Jeff NC? Is he looking to host something?
I don't know. I seen that over there, and I tried to answer him best I
Jeff,
could.
do you want to jump? I don't know you, but welcome. If you're new to Gun Channels, welcome. If you want to jump on, I'd love to have you on here. Maybe you can kind of get your feet wet. You interested in that? Let me know.
But yeah, I told him
You
up
want to
there
jump
that
on and say,
if he goes into
I'll
the
tell you what,
lobby,
I'm gonna send you the link, Jeff.
if he's new and if he goes into the lobby, that's probably the best way if you're new to sort of kind of learn the ropes a little bit.
Yeah. No, he said he's not coming in. All right. Well, if you are wanting to try the live stuff out, the lobby chat's always a great, like Clover said, a great place and all that. If you need any help, we are all here to help you in any way we can. So, like I said, I don't know if you're new to Gun Channels or not, but if you are, welcome to Gun Channels. It's a great place. And what the hell? What? SC? Do I have to ban you, man? Go buy Navy shirts. What? What? I don't support the squids, man. I make
We
fun
know
of the
who
squids.
is. Yeah.
Oh, it's SC just talking shit out there.
Yeah.
What else is new? All right. So, anything else that kind of stands out to you guys for the GRPC? I want to say I can't remember. Someone, I think maybe it was Clay, had brought up that they enjoyed the knife segment this morning, which I thought was interesting. And he was talking more or less. It doesn't say the right to bear firearms. It says the right to bear arms and all of that. So I thought that was an interesting segment that I didn't see coming. But it
Yeah, if
was
you want a
actually
gun, get
better
a
than I
gun. If
thought.
you want a knife, get a knife. If you want to carry around bare arms with you, carry bare arms.
Bear arms, like
Yeah.
grizzly bear arms.
Yeah,
Why not? You want to read it
exactly.
literal, then absolutely.
That'd be freaking
Good
awesome.
luck getting those. You might die getting those, but
Hey, life is short, right?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do, man.
That'd be freaking awesome. Walking around New York City, with bare arms.
All right. Jeff said he was here when Gun Channel started. He should have stayed. Yeah, I've only been here for a couple months, so but glad you came back and welcome to um, my channel. So check out Tactical Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central, right before Hit or Miss. There was a guy that was on the YouTube side basically the entire weekend on G-Webs. And I'm hoping that he'll come check out Gun Channels because he actually had some good points throughout the chat all weekend long.
Well, I didn't get to watch. I haven't watched all of it. I've just watched bits and pieces. And the lady that was talking real fast today, one of the things that
The coffee girl?
that she mentioned that caught my ear was something that I preached for a long time, and it's that in this country you have a fringe on the right, you have a fringe on the left, and then you have a whole bunch of people in the middle. And right smack in the middle are a lot of people that are on the fence. They don't shoot guns. They don't really care about none of that. But then again, they don't care about the rights one way or another. So as long as a valid argument is made, as long as something's logical to them, they support it. And what happens a lot of times, I think what she was talking about was how, things get stripped away over time. And then you have the fringe elements, let's say, on the right that, oh, no, we can't pass a concealed carry permit legislation. It's constitutional carry or nothing,
Right.
and to the people in the middle that would support moving in that direction, you lose those when you come across with this all or nothing, this is all we're going to settle for attitude. Whereas if you would take back your freedom in the same method in which you lost your freedom, then it can be gained a lot easier. And that's sort of the point I got, I guess, out of her speech, which, like I said, I preached for a long time. I think that, when you come out and you just, no disrespect to Night Strike, but when you come out and you shall not be infringed, the people in the middle are going, that guy's a nut job, I don't agree with that. I don't know what he's preaching or what he's suggesting. It freaks them out. And if you would just be methodical about it, then I think we can move into that direction. You get your license and all that, and then the people in the middle, they see that that's happened, and they're like, okay, well, they all got their license, and the world didn't fall apart. We're not in anarchy, and crime hasn't rose, and then
right.
then later on you introduce constitutional carry. Well, the people in the middle are going to, like I said, that are on that fence are going to support that, because you progress that way. And they've seen that it's been a progression. Nothing bad has happened. So, they're going to support it. Why not? We haven't seen anything bad that's occurred from this.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I think that, basically all of us have said to some extent over the last few weeks is, there is a big misconception of what pro-gun people are. We are normal people with normal jobs, everyday lives that support the Second Amendment and feel like that. People ask me, like we said, why do you carry in a small town that has very little crime? Because I can. If for no other reason, I feel like that if I'm looked at as a normal person in life and not some crazy, person that lives in the hills, and they see just a normal everyday human being that wants to carry a gun, concealed or not, just carry a gun every day, then that starts a conversation. Is, if someone asks, well, why do you carry? Well, because I can. And why don't you carry? And that starts a conversation. And the more people, like you said, Clover, is more people that see that it's just normal, responsible, every day, that starts a whole other conversation. And that's the whole thing that we're trying to do with the legislation is um, push those agendas and make people understand that it's not that we're trying to be crazy radicals. We're just everyday people that enjoy our guns and have their right to carry them. So let's try to spread that word and all that. Let people know that we're normal, responsible human beings, Americans that want to carry, not the radical side of us. It's not that. We like guns. We want to carry them, and we can. So that's the thing that the biggest problem is, I think, is people have this thought of what a gun person looks like and acts, and that
Right.
hurts because we haven't done enough to stop that.
Yeah. And I mean, any type of movement, I mean, requires volume. And I mean, you're not going to get the volume without those people that are those people that are centric, those people in the middle, those people that are on the fence. And I always relate it when I'm talking with people. A lot of times I relate it to like gay marriage. It's one of them things to where, that's an issue that honestly I could care less, because government needs to be out of it anyway. Government has no business being in marriage. That just makes no sense whatsoever to me. So I'm sort of one of them people that in a way is on the fence with that issue, the same as somebody may be with a Second Amendment issue.
Right.
And as long as you're not gay parade walking nude in the middle of a public street, as long as you want to protest and you want to do your, I'm perfectly fine with that. I support that. But if you get out there like the fringe elements do with the LGBT community and get all crazy, then you lose me at that point.
Right.
And the same thing happens with us when we have those that are fringe elements with the Second Amendment community. They can hurt the movement at large,
No
by
doubt.
alienating those that
Well,
are
they can somewhat, but I think that was part of her point, though. Whatever the thing, that window, whatever the thing was called. Whereas, when you have the fringe, right? That's that's the shall not be infringed. Hey, repeal the NFA. No gun laws ever. Whatever. I deserve to own a nuke type people. Is that it makes the other people that are just looking for shall issue carry, or they're just looking to get rid of a one gun a month law or something. It's almost like the strategy you can use, being like, listen, I'm not saying free machine guns for babies. I just want to buy more than one gun a month.
Right.
And it actually helps our cause a little bit. It kind of by throwing the fringe under the bus.
No, in that respect,
important.
Yeah, and in that respect, I agree. If you don't have that fringe, then the people on the fence without that fringe does not see the people that are being reasonable. So I mean, yeah, in a sense, I mean, any movement requires those on the fringe. My point is, it's not the fringe that accomplish anything, because they can't win over the people on the fence.
I would say this. I would say that the fringe actually helps the core so much more than it hurts. That's my opinion, because the fringe is there to bring light to the effort. If the core then does their job, the fringe are the ones who are going to get the publicity. They're going to be the ones on the crazy people with the guns. But what happens is once the fringe has been out there in the media and causing this whatever, and they're getting momentum just because they're just being seen by the media, then the core needs to come in behind that and said, now that you're talking about this, you know, for whatever reason you're talking about, I don't care that you're talking about it for this, but now that you're talking about this, here's what we're trying to do. Here's what we really are. These people are a little bit iffy, but at least they're talking about it because of these people. So they do serve a purpose. The fringe are, you know, they do serve a purpose to the cause a little bit.
Yeah, and
People may
I
not
think there
like
is
the cause, but they do bring attention, you know.
right, and I think there is a danger in us fighting ourselves
Yeah.
when, you know, maybe someone who wants to go further down the road. I've used the example a million times. We're pushing a boulder 10 miles down the road. Now maybe you only want to go 5 miles down the road. I want to go 10. Let's not argue at mile marker 1 that because I want to go 10, you're not going to help me. No, let's get to 5.
At least give me to 1 where I want to be.
Yeah,
you know?
and we can fight at 5. But I want to go 10, you want to go to 5. We're stuck at 1 or -7 or whatever. You know, that can be the danger as well. So, you know, yeah, maybe someone wants to. I honestly think the repeal the NFA movement is helping suppressors, because it's like, as the anti-gunners can be like, no, we need the NFA. Well, we can give up suppressors; those aren't really dangerous, but like we still need the other ones. You know, it does shift that window of what's an acceptable conversation.
Yeah.
So, and for the record, I want to
this.
repeal the NFA. I am one of those fringe people.
Well, sure, but I really don't think you're a fringe person on that. I mean, I don't think that's an outwardly thinking topic. I mean, you know, that's not a wild and crazy thing. That's a core thing. Most people, I think, would want to repeal that.
And I've noticed that in the firearm community, when you're dealing with the ones on the fringe, the Second Amendment issue, and you're dealing with the ones what we would call on the fringe, which on the fringe is not, again, we've talked about that, not a bad thing. They have their place. With the cohesiveness in with the argument around the Second Amendment, there seems to me more discord, more issue between the moderate, the reasonable Second Amendment argument guys, the ones that are more about running the ground game, moving that ball slowly and using the clock, and then the ones that are looking for the Hail Mary.
Absolutely.
And the fringe guys really take issue, and there's just, it seems like they get together a whole lot less than the fringe and the reasonable people in any other movement. It seems like, whether you're talking LGBT or anything, it seems like, you know, we'll go back to that because I mentioned it earlier. You've got, you know, the moderate LGBT supporters, and they don't necessarily come out and say, hey, you know, we don't agree with these people walking naked in a public street where little kids are seeing what's going on and all this, you know. Whereas we call out things, you know, and then on the flip, those people that are walking in the streets, they don't talk smack really to the moderates either. They're still moving as one unit. And I've seen that for a long time in this community. I don't know how you fix it. What it does is it speaks to the character and the moral and the grit of the people. Again, not a bad thing. Those are great qualities, and it speaks to that for the people on the fringe, that, you know, they feel if they compromise in any way,
it's more literal,
join the moderate movement to move that ball forward, you know, they feel they're cheating themselves, or they're cheating their country, or whatever. So, well, you know, it's not coming from a selfish perspective, I don't think.
It's an ideological
but I mean, it is, but it's still an issue that we face. I see it all the time.
Well,
we had that here in Texas when we and I even had family members that I got crossways with, because I was trying to push with making calls to Austin every day and trying to push this concealed carry to get our concealed carry changed to a license to carry, where we could carry it however we wanted. And there was, even though constitutional carry has been tried for several sessions now down there and failed, you still had the, you know, Texas constitutional carry movement and all this other stuff that was just hardcore about pushing that through, pushing that through, pushing that through, when it's obvious it's not going to move, but yet changing from CCL to LTC to license to carry had a really good shot. And as a matter of fact, it did. It passed.
That's a big step. I mean, really, it's a big step.
Instead of gaining their support, which may have made it past even quicker or by a larger margin, you know, we more or less had opposition by them, which didn't make any sense. Again, it goes back to they wanted all or nothing. You know, let's not. You know, if they couldn't convert, you know, on a 1st and 10, then they didn't want to play ball. You know,
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
hey, we got 4 downs here. Let's use our. As long as we use our 4 downs, we're good.
Yeah, your analogy just made me think of something. And I will admit, I am not great at football. I'm a tall, skinny kid, so I played basketball as a child, and I really like hockey. But the threat of the Hail Mary makes those defensemen take 2 steps back, and you get a couple extra yards on the run.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we agree. There's a place for the fringe. There's absolutely a place for the fringe. Yes.
Well, it's like Ruff said also. He said in the Gun Channel side, he says the fringe might be crazy, but they get off their butts or are more likely to. And that is true.
Yep.
They're willing to go out and do those.
You've got a whole bunch of people. That's what I said when I first started this. You've got a whole bunch of people in the middle.
Yeah.
You know, on both sides, and then you've got, like I said, you've got the fence riders, but then you've got people in the middle, and I mean that's 80% probably of the country. So anything you do is going to require those people.
Yeah, I'm definitely stealing your football analogy. I'm just giving you a heads up right now, because that is a great way to put it. Like, especially like you said, if we're fighting each other, do the rushers, you know, fight with the receivers because they're like, hey man, you only get a couple of yards each rush, so you suck. And then the other guy says, yeah, well, you always run for the end zone, and then half the time you drop it or you run out of bounds or whatever.
Right.
No, they don't. They're on the same team. They realize there are times for rushing, there's times for passing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if an opportunity, you know, arises, I mean, you have put it in that analogy, you have a defender that trips and falls or whatever, throw the Hail Mary, you know. But there has to be an opportunity for that. And if there's not an opportunity for that, then don't force it.
Right.
Absolutely.
But again, even just the threat being there helps the rushers.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm totally stealing that. You've just made me think up a new argument.
Well, but like you said, it is a great analogy because and there are 2 different sides of it. Which is more effective? And you can get a lot of different answers for that as well. Obviously, you know, the slow, methodical, we're going to pound you and we're going to wear your ass down until you finally give in, or the shock and awe. You know, I don't know which one's more effective. I can tell you right now, there doesn't seem to be anything that's effective right now, just because Congress is not doing their jobs. Luckily, the share and the National Reciprocity Bill are gaining ground, but here's my problem with that is I would love to see both of them passed, but here's the question: will one of them get set aside so the other one can pass? And if so, which one would you rather see passed?
Share. 100% share.
Probably share. Yeah.
But do you think that do you think that the National Reciprocity would get put in a drawer? You know, will there be enough people sit there and say, look, we don't need 2 gun legislations coming through the same time? Do you think that one of them will get offered to get put in a drawer, or shall we sit there and say, no, damn it, we've got 2 legislations, 2 bills coming through, one through the Senate, one through the House. We're going to get both of them done. Do you think that'll happen, or do you think one of them will get shoved?
I think it's my opinion, and I've spoken this several times, and it's not popular, but I mean, I have talked to people that are in Washington. My opinion is that neither one's going to happen. Same dog and pony show we've seen forever. We're going to continue to see that. I mean, okay, they'll show movement, but ultimately they're not going to go anywhere because of the makeup of the House and the Senate. The sheriff's going to have problems. Sheriff's going to have problems in the House. The old suppressor thing. Reciprocity is going to have problems in the Senate. I I think that when I said earlier that, you know, if one of them, if I had to pick one that I'd rather have over the other, I said share for a reason, and it wasn't necessarily. I think reciprocity probably holds more importance.
I
than
think
share.
reciprocity is more important than share.
Yes, but I
That's
think
just me personally.
share. I think share has a better chance because share is more likely to get through the Senate, and the House is a lot more flexible than the Senate.
Yeah.
So I think
I personally,
the possibility of getting on Trump's desk goes to
well, it's
definitely
already
goes to
one.
share.
It's already there. It's just one step away now. It's just where share is. It's on the Senate floor. So now it is one step away.
Yeah.
I do believe that the national reciprocity is more important to me
Well,
personally. But I will say this is that the
but here's the
share has the chance to be a stepping stone to some much bigger things than the reciprocity.
that's true. But remember the way
You know,
that, you know, I'm a bill on Capitol
I
Hill. Remember
understand.
the way that it works. Share, that's okay. Okay, the House passes it and it goes to the Senate, or the Senate passes it and it goes to the House. If they amend and change or do or whatever, it gets
Well, they're going to tax
it
violence, and
starts
that's the way
it starts all over again. So, and that's where you get
right.
into they can just pass this crap around for a year or 2 years and amend this and change that, and then it's another 2-3 months before it gets on the floor, and you know, whatever. You know, and go back to the football analogy, they play the clock. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
One thing that I mentioned one time on State of the State when they brought me in on the Daily Show, since we're talking, we're doing the football analogy thing pretty much full throttle now.
It's football day. It's Sunday. You know,
is defense. Okay, we don't talk about defense. We talk about what we win, and we're pushing this. You know, we're offense. We're trying to push this forward. Trying to push this through. We're trying to get this to happen. We don't hardly ever talk about things that are defeated in defense, and I think it's important that when you're looking at when you go to the site, whether you're doing State of the State or you're just doing it for your own benefit or whatever, and you're looking at firearm legislation, don't just go and look at what's passed or look at what's been moved to the Senate floor. Look at what's everything. Look at what's been proposed. Look at what got struck down in committee. Look at because there's a reason. That's going to give you an idea of how that other team is trying to play ball.
That's right.
You know, that's also going to give you a realistic outlook on, you know, things that could happen. You know, we want to grapple a lot of times because we say, well, this didn't pass or that didn't pass or this didn't pass, and it was pro-gun legislation.
Right.
You know, but thank God that there's these other 5 or 6 bills. Thank God those didn't pass because we were so focused on this over here that was pro-gun, we didn't even see the stuff over here that was anti-gun.
Yeah. So for sure.
You know, I think you've got to pay attention to the defense of the situation too.
But you also, and I think that the people, well, I don't speak for everyone. I would sit there and say that I know that me, you, and Smeggy are, and John, and I know Tony and Bill, most people in here, you joined this for a reason, just because we all kind of like the political side of this, and it's like, you know, other Travis said, he's just listening because he's not very good at the political side. And I'm not saying I'm good at it. I just, you know, I enjoy it. But that's the thing is going in and researching, going to congress.gov and actually reading what these bills are, or go to senate.gov and reading what these Senate acts are and what they're supposed to be doing, what they say, and where they were when they were originally, you know, brought up to the floor and presented, and to what they are now. You know, by the time that they are presented for the very first time in the House to the time it gets to the president's desk, it's probably gone through 200 different revisions of it. And the reason why I say that is most people don't want to do that, or they don't feel like it's going to do any good to do that. And that's what the politicians play on. They're going to assume that the average person isn't going to know and or care about the individual bills that are going to go through the House and the Senate. They don't seem to care, and they don't realize it, that they might sit in a committee for 8 months. That's what they want. They want these things to go to committee and sit there so where people forget about them. So If you are passionate, whether it's 2A or anything else, if you're passionate about something that's going through the House or the Senate, keep up with it and make sure you call or email or do whatever to your representative or the senator and tell them what you feel. So I don't know what the hell's going on in this chat. I keep seeing my name pop up. Put into work, understand, snafu. What the fuck are y'all talking about?
And I think another thing that that we have, and I guess this is part of playing the defense too. But one of the things that we've got to pay attention to, because we know they do it, they've done it for years, where you will have a bill, let's say reciprocity, right? And in order to get this vote or get that vote or do that, somebody sneaks in something about Social Security or employment.
These writers are what
taxes,
kills it.
or some kind of crap, and that's ultimately what kills it. Not
absolutely.
So you gotta. You don't just go to your congressman and go, you need to support this, or you need to know that. And you go to him and go, hey, look, you need to work on getting this amendment out of the bill. Give him specifics to do. And
right.
That shows that you're engaged, and that shows that shows him that you know more than he thinks you know.
Absolutely.
Hey, you need to get this amendment out, or get this. There's pork in this. It needs to be gone. You need to eliminate this line. You need to change this language. Whatever. Give them some specifics. But there's also an issue to where you've got to be careful, because are you willing to, there's certain things in there. Are you willing to compromise? Or are you willing to open those doors because they've shoved these little things in there? Let's say they shove some kind of a little thing in there on employment taxes or something, and do reciprocity, which that sounds stupid, but they do it all the time.
Well, absolutely.
And then 6 months later, we've got $15 an hour minimum wage, and we're in the Great Depression again, because
but we got our national reciprocity,
but we got national. Well, it doesn't, so look at what we sacrificed for that.
That's right.
And
I'll tell you from a personal experience, and I think Clover has done this. Obviously, he meets with them quite frequently, but from a personal experience, if you want to get an engagement back from your representative or senator, kind of goes into what Clover was saying is, yes, emailing and calling your representative or your senator is important. But if you want them to ever take you seriously and actually listen to you, don't just go howl at the moon in an email and I'm just going to use it as a joke, but don't go night strike on them, because they're probably going to sit there and say, because it's probably not the representative, first of all, who's reading it. It's probably an aide who's reading it. And if there's any legs to it, sir, I think you need to read this, or ma'am, you need to read this. So what I would say is, if you're going to call or you're going to email, make sure you know the facts, make sure you know the history of that bill, make sure you know do you know how that bill has fared in the committees and how many times it changed and blah, 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 blah. Know your information before you call, because if you do and you present it in an educated and formatted structure, then they're absolutely going to listen to you a lot more than if you just send 1,000-word quick essay on whatever the hell, you're howling at the moon. So make it short, sweet, to the point. Let them know that you know your facts, that you know what's going on, because if you don't, it's just going to get to that other inbox that no one's ever going to read. If you want to get into the eyes of the actual legislature, be concise, be straightforward, be factual, be knowledgeable in the bill that you're talking about, because at that point, they will listen, because they're going to respect the fact that you actually took the time out to find out what was going on, and that's what they're looking for.
Well, and then another thing too that I find, and it's important, is, and now granted, not all representatives do this, which is sad, but a lot of them will have, especially when they're not in session or whatever, they'll have town halls.
That's right.
But ours, they have town halls, and then they have days to where they are at a certain library or a certain office or whatever in certain cities throughout the month, or every few weeks or something like that. And you can actually set up a meeting with them. face to face. And I mean, that is even better than email or calling, because you're not talking to an aide, or, you don't run the risk of just an aide seeing the email, or talking to an aide and he's going to relay the message, it's a real person shaking hands, standing there in front of them. And that makes a lot more of an impact when it's coming from a real person across from them than just in an email or just a message.
And I know that a lot of them will have what they call open hours, where they might set up when they aren't in session, they are back. They'll sit there at my office between 1 and 2 o'clock on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, or whatever, are open hours, and anyone can walk up, and if he is available, you can walk straight into his office and speak your mind, and that's a cool thing. I've actually seen that happen before too. I don't think a lot of them do that because they want to make sure there's no crazies coming in, but some of them do have the open office hours.
Yeah, and I get the one-dimensional voter. I get that.
Yep.
But when you're going in front of them, I think a better approach is to do a top 3. When you go in to talk to them, don't just go in on one. Now, make that one your better argument, the one you talk about the most. But when you go in, if you're going in, let's say for national reciprocity, say, hey, I want to talk to you about some issues that, are bugging me, and and then, talk about healthcare for just a minute, and then talk about taxes for just a minute, and again, know the bills that are presented, know the language, know particulars about those things. That way he knows you're engaged, and then go in and say, but the thing that bothers me the most right now, or the thing that concerns me the most right now, and then hit him with national reciprocity, and lay it on him. And what that just extends it even more, because now he knows that, first of all, you're not one-dimensional. You care about the country at large. You care about multiple things. There's multiple things he does that has effect on your life.
Yeah, you're not the gun crazy radical. That's all you seem to care about.
Right. And it also shows
how
him
that affects other legislation as well.
Exactly. And it shows him that you have an expanded knowledge.
That's right. You're talking about food again. Damn it, Travis. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, figures.
Talking about Japanese Wagyu beef. That stuff is so good. Oh.
A $13 burger. A $13 burger is not an expensive burger, unfortunately, anymore.
No, it's not.
When hamburger meat here is $4 a freaking pound. I don't know. We need to talk to our congressman about that, maybe, because that's.
You're in the land of the beef. I mean, that's where the beef comes from, is Texas.
Texas. I could walk out my back door in less than 100 yards. Of course, I'd have to pay for it, but I could knock a cow in the head and butcher it. But yeah.
Wait, we're talking about food now? I thought we were talking about
No, they're in the chat. They're in the chat. And we're going to cut this shit off if we're going to talk about food.
We're not talking about food. We're talking about the cost of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, what else from the gun rights policy conference did you guys maybe like or not like? Is there any speakers you didn't like?
There were a couple that I didn't say I didn't like. I would say that there were a couple that I could have gone without. Does that make more sense? There was one there this morning towards the end that I kind of, I think most people would probably know what I'm talking about if they watched, but it is what it is. I tell you, the one that I really did like yesterday was the woman that was the teacher and got the training and all of that. Man, she was pretty sharp, and she got all the women, all the ladies to come in and get training at that one range, and there was only one range that would do the training or something like that. She was pretty sharp about teachers and guns. Well, from Colorado, I think she's from Colorado, was she not?
Yeah, she's the lady who I don't know if she, whatever you call it, but she had something to do with getting rid of those politicians after the magazine restriction.
Yeah.
She helped organize the recall vote of those 3.
Yeah.
And then she's gone on now to work with training teachers and stuff. And I think, did she team up with the guys from Faster?
Oh, Faster. Yeah. That was a good one too. Yeah.
Yeah. That's I really like that program, you know, because it's basically, you know, training first responders in the school. And that's, you know, in the super unlikely event that something happens. Because let's face it, we're still talking about something that almost never happens. You know, as much as the anti-gunners wanted to say there's 200 mass shootings a year or whatever, it's not really what, when they say that, the media thinks there's, you know, 200 Sandy Hooks a year or something. That's not it at all.
No.
You know, they have an interesting definition. But either way, you know, think about it. When was the last, like, you know, school thing? There's been a couple public killings.
There was one
you know, I still can't change my brain. This is a side note, but when the media calls them mass shootings and then we also do the same, it just helps perpetuate, like, you know, shooting, guns, bad, evil, killing, blah, 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 whatever. So I like to call them mass killings because it doesn't matter how they actually did it. Yeah. It's the person doing the killing and they're bad people, you know. That's so right. For whatever other circumstances going on. So.
Yeah, the one that happened just a few weeks ago up in Washington State, that one disturbs me quite a bit. Not because, I mean, obviously it's tragic that there were people killed at the school, but the fact that the young man had literally told and written down in a, I don't know, a letter or something, like months prior, that he was going to do something and he wasn't going to make it through the school year, and people were going to, you know, he had literally said publicly that he was going to do something like this, and the people just thought, he's just a kid, you know, he's just, no, you don't just discard threats. You know, where are the teachers? Where are the council people, the councilmen, or counselors? Where are the parents when a young person, and I say young that's still in high school, they're not necessarily kids, but they're young people, make a public statement saying they intend to hurt somebody? There's something wrong with that person mentally. The normal person doesn't think that way. They don't make those threats, especially publicly. And how can you sit there and just discard this threat that was made? That's what bothers me about this, is there actually was a warning about this, and no one did seem to do anything about it. And that's scary.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one, so I can't really comment on that. I will say this, though, is even with that, it's one of those things that, like, you know, hindsight's 2020 type of thing. And, you know, I agree with you. Yeah, if someone's obviously struggling and making threats like that, you know, they should get some help, or people should look into it or whatever. But I also fear that, you know, some people just want to vent every once in a while. And so if I see the anti-gunners taking that and being like, you know what, you're right. So now if anyone makes any threats ever, like, we should take all their guns away or something. And I know that's not what you're saying. I'm just playing devil's advocate in a way of looking how it could kind of be twisted. And, you know, I hesitate to, I don't know what I'm saying. You know, I don't think that that's always a clear thing. Just because someone writes something down or threatens someone or whatever, it doesn't mean they actually plan on doing it. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, it just,
well, I don't think we're basing our decisions on what they might do. The active threat of it is a serious issue.
Oh,
well, yeah, you're right about
the
that.
The verbal threat itself, to say this, if this person has these kind of balls to go out in public and just talk like that, it shouldn't be, like, dismissed 100%. But I'm not saying, again, because they haven't physically done something, to just say, oh, okay, not a big deal. You know,
no, and I'm not saying
Ghost
to
is right.
convict this kid.
No, Ghost, I'm agreeing with you. The fact
Yeah.
that they have the nerve to actually talk like that in public, out loud, is an issue.
And that's what I'm saying is I'm not saying we have to go ahead and publicly convict this or condemn this person, but the fact that a young person has like you said, the balls or whatever you want to call it, to make a public statement about this, I promise you that person is not in the right mind. So the least amount that we do is have him talk to a counselor and find out what's going on. And that's what I was worried about. Nothing seemed to be happening. They all heard, they all kind of knew, oh yeah, he did say something about that, but we didn't think he was for real about it. Are you kidding me? You know, are you kidding me? Come on, people.
Half the things that happen in this country are because people made these threats and the FBI ignored them.
Well, what I'm saying is there are going to be incidents that happen with violence that we can't do anything about because it was either it wasn't premeditated or no one knew. It just happened. So when we have an opportunity to save lives because it's already been made public, you've got to act on that. We just can't discard and say, he's just a kid. He's just talking it. Come on now. That's what scares me. I'm not saying you get public can condemn this kid, but let's at least give him some help and find out what's going on, you know? Make parents aware, make someone know, you know?
Maybe he's saying it as a passage to get into a gang or something. You never know.
You never know. But let's at least talk to the kid and find out what's going on, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I can see your point there. At least kind of investigate. I just again,
I'm not
there was something about the way you said it. It just like it. Again, not necessarily this specific incident. I don't have any information on it. I didn't even know about it. But from an arguments point of view, from a like PR point of view, I feel it being like an anti-gun trap of saying like, yeah, we should investigate that, because then they're gonna come out and say like, anyone who's ever posted anything on their Facebook, like, dude, you suck, I hate you, whatever, like, we need to investigate them, and they're gonna go overboard.
No, I'm not saying that.
That's my point.
Yeah, and I'm all for. I'm 100% with you on that one. All I was saying is if you have a high school student who is hurting students in a school, and the school officials find out about it, it may be worth for them to at least look into it. That's what I was trying to say. Is let's bring this kid in, talk to him, find out. Like you said, it could be a game. It could just be having a really, really bad time at home. And there might be things that school needs to be aware of this kid. But that's what I was trying to say is let's at least talk to this kid and find out what's going on. Don't just sit there and say, he's just a kid being a kid. That's what's scary to me is school officials seem to have, from what I have read, seem to have been alerted about this prior, that he had talked about doing something like this, and they just let it go. That's what I was trying to say. What's up, Bill? You still reloading back there, or are you inventorying, or what?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Yeah, I had to go through all my cabinets and inventory all my guns, so it's taken a while. And I've got one I can't find, so now I got to go figure out where the hell that went. So.
Well, you're not missing any, right?
Well, just one. I can't seem to find my shit stick, so I'm sure I just
probably just drop it in the backyard or something for
it could be any place. Who knows where those things crawl out?
It's probably worth Clover's ammo casings from his lawn chair pop that he can't seem to find.
Mm.
You just had to bring that up.
I've been following I'll tell you, you really gotta be careful, because it's all context. It's really easy to say, oh, the guy shot somebody, so that means this message meant this, and that message meant that, and this message meant this other thing. But only because you have the context of him actually doing a violent act. And it's very difficult to put that shit in context before the fact and say, oh yeah, this is definitely meant violently. This is not just, this, that, or the other thing. I'm sure there are certainly some things that are pretty obvious, but you got to be careful with this stuff, because it's very, hindsight is 20/20 with this shit. And it's really easy to say, well, this person did a horrible thing, so he said these things. So that means everybody that says these things are going to do these horrible things. No, that's not how it works.
Right.
So I'm with I'm a little bit with my pal there in New York, John, saying you gotta be careful with this stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm just making in this succinct exact scenario where they actually had knowledge of this kid saying, from what I've read, like I said, from what I've read, they had
the kid had friends at the school that notified school officials.
and did nothing about it.
That's the trip. He had friends that were close to him that knew his state of mind.
Yep.
They went and talked to the officials, and the officials did diddly.
That's what I'm saying is the school officials knew this. That was my whole point, was the school officials knew about this and didn't do anything about it. That's what's scary.
I think those people are the ones that should be reprimanded.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If nothing else, get caught in a civil case somewhere and drain them of all their money, which they probably will.
Well, most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a democratic thing.
Oh, that's just the way it is. Let's see here. Yeah, let's see.
So I have a question for the panel and the people out there listening.
Yeah.
How many of you going to the Gun Rights Policy Conference next year in Chicago?
I am.
Oh dear God.
For sure. For sure.
And that's like New York, right? You could only have a pointy stick.
I do think it's very ironic that the Gun Rights Policy Conference is going to be in Chicago. I mean, that's a good thing.
I think it is. Sometimes going behind enemy lines is a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am definitely planning on going, especially talking with some of the behind the scene type stuff. The conference is great. We all watched it streaming online. The guys went up, they talked, blah blah blah, whatever. Today
strategy stuff,
today it was maybe only half a room. Well, one of the things that G-Wubs had mentioned is a possible reason that the room was a little more empty today than yesterday is that these groups go off on Sunday. They use it to have closed door meetings, because some of the stuff they're talking about they don't want necessarily publicly out there. Maybe they're talking strategy of a particular lawsuit or some lobbying effort or whatever. And the other thing is Saturday night after the conference they all go to the hotel bar and shake some hands and have dinner together and all that kind of stuff. So personally, I want to be involved with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I want to be in the room.
Yeah. Talk to some people in person, kind of off the record type stuff, because I've heard some stuff from off the record which I won't talk about because it was off the record. But anyways, that's one of the advantages. And as fired up and as pumped up as I am just watching the public stuff, I feel like being in a room with that many Second Amendment advocates that are all coming at it from different angles, and then maybe they all have slightly different strategies and who can work together and whatever, maybe they can help you think of something you never thought of before. I want to be involved in that for sure. So especially being in Chicago, that's an easy drive for me. It's like 4 hours or whatever.
Yes, yeah, it's an easy flight for me. I mean, I probably would fly up there because I can get a cheap flight to Chicago from here. But
I'm going to kidnap all of the Michigan Gun Channels members. So Squib and Dusty and probably some of the Ohio people. So
I'm going to say there's some Ohio ones. So, I mean, I bet you Pink would probably like to go.
Pink, and Ohio 45.
Ohio 45. Yeah.
All you people, I only have a super cab truck, so you'll be crammed in the back with the suicide door, but I can fit you in there. And if not, you're sitting in the bed of the truck. Because we're going. We're going to have the Gun Channels Mafia is showing up next year. Especially, here's something that, I asked earlier, is there something you didn't like or whatever? One of the things that it's not that I didn't like it, but when they were doing the new media section today, they were talking about blogs and Facebook.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that's old media. you know, and their version of old media was newspaper and books,
Right.
which is like ancient media to me. And I'm not saying I'm a super hipster either, but come on, not a single person, you know, Instagram, Snapchat, like probably stuff that I've never even heard of. Like,
Well, do you
there's
remember
different new
yesterday?
media.
You remember yesterday, and it was very early. It might have been like in the very beginning of it, when they said, "Who here um, does a radio or podcast or a YouTube channel that's Second Amendment related?" And there's a people that raise their hands and this, that, and the other. And then she said, "Who listens or watches podcasts or shows or videos on Second Amendment?" And like the entire room raised their hand. And she said, "Wow,
That's
like
right.
5 years ago, that I mean, no one did that, or maybe 10 years. I remember what it was, but it was like, you know, a short amount of time ago, like no one listened to podcasts or watched videos or shows. It was crazy, and the fact that it's come so far, it kind of gives hope that we've just kind of maybe reached the tip of the iceberg with what even as content creators, guys on gun channels, as a group, we can do is." We haven't even seen anything yet, which is kind of interesting and cool to think about. Let's see. Smeggy, Patriot in the Dark says that he's going to ride with you. And
Okay.
you don't want to know what ST says.
I saw it. I got the chat open.
He says,
He
"Oh,
said
you
he's
do?
taking
Okay."
his own truck, and I just said, good. That's more room for kidnapping. Yeah, I don't think it's downtown, Mel, by the way, because one of the ladies corrected someone in the chat, was like, well, hang on, it's not technically Chicago. I forget exactly what city they said, but yeah, I do think it's like a suburb. It's not like straight downtown. Just Chicago's the easiest way of saying it. It's somewhere near there.
Well, technically, DFW Airport, where the Westin Hotel is, where this one was, is not actually in Dallas. It's either Arlington or something like that. It's not really in Dallas, but once again, the entire metroplex of 13 million people is called Dallas.
And it's not Gary, Indiana.
Gary, Indiana, isn't that where the Jackson 5 was from or something like that? Is that like the claim of fame is Jackson's?
I'm gonna go on to their website right now, see if they've announced officially, you know, next year. See if I can figure it out. But anyways, I'm glad
It's
to
only
see
a
some people
12-hour
saying,
drive
you know,
from New
they're
York.
gonna, you know, joking they're gonna ride with me. I'm obviously joking about kidnapping people. I mean, I would not actually kidnap them, but I will definitely
You would
encourage.
take them if they would want to, if they went willingly.
Yeah,
You
oh yeah,
offer
like I
them
said,
a ride.
I got a little bit of room in the truck, and you know, if not, they can drive their own cars. So, anyways, it's something to keep in the back of your head. The fact that, what the hell? Sorry, trying to do 5 things at once.
Multitasking.
Yeah, it doesn't work good.
I understand.
But you know, the fact that I'm encouraged that people were listening and watching and are participating here. I just hope that
I mean,
they
hell,
will
we've
continue
been up to
that
20,
through
we've
and
been up to
maybe
23
participate
people
in
just on
person.
this one, and that's odd because I put the title as Gun Rights Policy Conference After Show, and you know, 23 people watching an after show of the Gun Rights Policy Conference is awesome. You know, that's awesome. I mean, I know that G had you know, I mean, there was probably 5 or 6, 7 people that were on like the entire time, and that's pretty cool, you know.
Is there any information about next year's show?
Let's see here.
That's what I'm looking right now.
Probably not.
I'm not seeing anything, but
Maybe the dates and, you know, let's see here.
I mean, any kind of information at all. One date, the location, anything.
Gun Rights
well, it's
Policy
also
Conference.
it's a full year out. They might have only half planned it also, so there might not be any public information other than what they just, you know, said. And that's
Right.
I
Or nothing
gathered that it was
definitive.
in Chicago area next year, and I know it's normally around this time of year. So
Yeah. I want to believe that G put in the chat yesterday, Chicago, end of September again next year. So it would probably
End
be
of
the same
September.
pretty much weekend in the Chicago area.
You
And they
said
might not
end of
even have an
September.
idea of where it's actually going to be hosted yet. I mean, like which hotel and all that. They might not know that yet.
Right. I mean, I'm
All
on
right,
their
Gary
website now, and
Ditter. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
there's still a thing on there that says the where the heck did I just see that? But it was like the full list of speakers have not yet been set,
Yeah.
and that's for the 2017 one. So they don't necessarily update their website super fast.
Right.
So we'll figure it out. You guys know. Stay tuned to Gun Channels and all the different stuff. We'll be talking about it when it's coming around again. But I was just curious how many people out there maybe watched today and were like, "Wow, that's really neat. I want to be there in person." I was planning on going this year, but it just didn't work out for me. So
Yeah, and I was going to say that Gary out there on the YouTube side made a comment that is so true. Just because from personal experience, I'm a gun guy and I've only been here a couple months, but Gary said you'd be amazed at how many gun owners don't know about gun channels when you just spread the word. And that is so true because, like I said, I'm a gun guy. I have been for a long, long time. And, you know, I had heard about gun channels for a while, but until a couple months ago, I never came over. And I think that the gun channels is well represented in a lot of these chats and a lot of these shows. But I think that we all could do a better job of help spreading the gun channels thing to people that we know in private life that are gun people. And Clover says it seems we do a very every time we get a chance, yet it is still not enough. That's why we need to comment other videos and to let creators know tap their audiences, and that's true. Uh, you know, but yeah, it's the gun channels is a great place, but like you said, I think we're only at the tip of the iceberg. I mean, if we're all able and willing to do what we can, man, there's no telling where the movement can go. How powerful this movement really, really is. Just you have a lot of people that I like guns, I want guns, but I'm not willing to do anything about it. The apathy is killing us right now. You know, we don't have to worry about it because we have a Republican president. Actually, there was someone yesterday was talking about that as well. They're saying that this is the time that people get lazy because we have it, because this is actually the time that we have to be at our strongest, because everyone expects us to be strong when our enemy's in the office. Because we have to take advantage of being strong, and we're not taking advantage of being strong right now. And that's a very good point as well. All right, hell, we've been on this thing for 2 freaking hours. Is that real? Is that right? Has it been 2 hours?
yeah,
Holy cow!
there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and I just fired this up just because, like you said, that conference was just ended. I was excited, and there was nothing going on a Monday or Sunday afternoon. So I thought, well, hell, let's try this. Gary, what's sorry, didn't see you until Gary. If you want to jump in, I mean, I'm not going to turn this off anytime. I mean, if we got things to talk about, we'll talk about it. If you want to jump in, the link's right there, buddy. Do what you got to do. Love to have you. The priest also is on the gun channel side, says the biggest problem with gun channels is the site itself. That came from SC. And I guess there was a login thing. And I personally haven't had a whole lot of issues with gun channels, but I keep hearing about people that do. I don't know. I don't. I haven't had many issues. Have you guys had issues with the site itself?
I haven't really had too many issues
Not
outside
not
of
in a while.
sometimes.
They did have
Yeah.
some.
So
There were some issues. Something to keep in mind here. You know, we're all regular people, and there's
right.
a handful of us trying to keep the site going, and you
Yeah.
know, it is what it is. So it might not be the smoothest and sexiest, but you know, I think it gets the job done. And
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
Like I said, I've never had an issue.
it was that way when I joined. It took at least 3 or 4 days probably before I could create an account and everything. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, G, whoever worked on it, if it was G or whoever, I think I talked to G He was the one I initially contacted about it. And then Alan B. Pro, when I brought him on, he had some issues too, I know. But I told him that I had issues, just be patient, that, it's just one of those things. It's a small platform and, small in the sense of how it's ran, I should say.
Right.
And,
yeah. That's the biggest thing to remember. I mean, I like to describe it's Facebook for gun people. However,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure G Webs is not Zuckerberg,
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
he's
yeah,
driving
I
around in the
had
van
that.
with his dog right now. I mean, that's
I had that with my platform too. Actually, today was it either last night or today? I don't remember. This morning or last night. One that had a guy that had lost his login, and of course he hadn't logged in since back in April, and he wasn't involved in the site, and just a bunch of different things. And I mean, he kind of got snarky at first about it. And I'm like, look, dude, I'm spending $250 a month to keep this up for you guys out of my own pocket. Occasionally somebody will buy a sticker or a shirt or do something, but I mean, it doesn't near cover the money it costs to keep that platform up, and it's like, I'm not Zuckerberg. I don't have all these ad dollars and other stuff. So, yeah. So, I mean, I completely understand it. It did not bother me, when I first signed up, because I have experience with that sort of thing. So I know how it goes when you're just kind of a one-man operation running on, shoestring budget, so to speak.
Patriot say he's got issues, but it's mostly him. It's hard finding the live feeds at first. Yeah, I mean, I can see that where, but there is a tab that says live up top, and
oh, exactly, yeah, and that takes you to the lobby chat, and everyone's pretty helpful in there that can help you out.
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. It's just that
no, you're fine.
Someone else was talking about that just earlier today.
Yeah.
And I think I used a pretty good analogy. The gunchannels.com/lobby is, think of it like the lobby of a movie theater. And then shows like Ghost Tactical or Clover Tack or Hit or Miss Tuesday nights 9 o'clock. Those are in the actual like theater. So the lobby, everyone hangs out and talks or whatever. And then at, Tuesday nights 9 o'clock, they go over to the Hit or Miss room, or they go over to the Clover Tack room or the Ghost Tactical or wherever. And then so they're just separate pages where you'll have video and chat, and some people do them up all fancy and some people just use the basic, like default template.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, that's
like
I think that's
I
good.
never had
jump
any
in the
issues.
lobby and ask around. I'll help you out.
I never personally had any issues. Clover and I were on another person's chat, and he says, I think you really, so I literally went that night, created my account. Initially was a free one, then I saw for $1 you could support it, so I went ahead and signed up for the $1 one or whatever it was. I think it was $1. $1? I don't remember what it was. But I never had to wait. I never had to worry about it. I logged in, and for me it was easy. I never had an issue, but maybe I was just lucky. I don't know. But I think
I thought you were a featured member or whatever. That's like, isn't that like $7 and something a year?
Whatever it is, I'm a feature member. I mean, as I'm saying, the very first day,
I mean, it's cheap. It's cheap to support the platform. I mean,
yeah.
$7.95.
And I do. I'm on a different one now. Whatever it is, I do whatever it is. But the very first day, I went from free to $1, and then I upgraded to whatever it is. I don't even know what it is anymore. Whatever it is, but the very first day, I mean, I never had any issues whatsoever going through the thing.
Yeah. SC out there, he said he's not bad mouthing it. So he's simply pointing out one of the ways
I understand.
We lose people. And I mean, but I mean, you're going to have that. I mean, you got those people that are impatient. That's like I relate it back to my platform. And this guy, like I said, he hadn't logged in since April. And then he hits me last night or today with, I think I posted some. What I do is I share stuff from my platform over to Facebook. And he commented, and he's like, I was a member, but I can't log in anymore. And I'm like, I don't ever remember hearing from you about anything. I run the thing. you would have emailed me or messaged me. And he's like, it wouldn't let me log in. I couldn't do anything. And I'm like, you're talking to me here on the Facebook page. Why did you not post on the Facebook page here? Hey, dude, I got a problem logging in.
Right.
You know, so you just get people
that would be way too
the
logical.
thing is they're used to YouTube, they're used to Facebook, they're used to these multi-million-dollar platforms that have, you know, millions upon millions invested and thousands of employees, you know, and they're entitled. They feel entitled
No
to
doubt.
have that quality of stuff 24/7, 365. You know, and anything that possibly deviates from that, if they have the slightest little problem, they just throw their hands up in there and go, "Well, this is crap," and they walk
Right.
off.
Yeah,
You know?
well, you're right.
And I got him.
Well, I think someone out there
got
said
this guy.
said it best.
I literally got this guy fixed up, and then after I did, he was appreciative and he understood. But I was like, this was an easy issue, dude. I'm like, all that happened is we upgraded the app. If you were a member of the support group on there, which we push every other day, there's a post that goes out that says, hey, you need to be a member of this group because, you know, platform upgrades, you know, any downtime problems, all of that, you know, gets reported through here. So you know what's going on. Well, had he been a member of that group, he would have known that, hey, we've got a new app. You need to go download the new app. Well, that's all it was, is he just needed to go download the app and he was fine.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
like
even really, it wasn't even an issue with our platform, you know?
Yeah.
But because he wasn't engaged or involved, he didn't know.
Yeah. And SC had made it earlier back in the chat. He said people take the path of least resistance, and it's laziness, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to tie that into what you had said, or maybe it was Gary that had said that, you know, maybe we need to do a better job at promoting the gun channels, because I know just in the short 2 months or so that I've been on gun channels, the amount of knowledge that I've personally learned just from listening to the lobby chats and on the shows and all that is incredible. And I used to think that I was a relatively knowledgeable person about guns, but we have some really brilliant minds in a lot of different areas of the gun community, whether it's reloading or smithing or the politics side of it, or just, I mean, there's so many knowledgeable minds that I think that the gun channels could be a community that could help with taking that next step of from apathy to, I'm not saying going to the fringe side, but going from being apathetic to being activists.
Yeah.
Because I think there are a lot of people that are knowledgeable, and I think the people that are here every day are obviously passionate about the Second Amendment. So I think the gun channels could be a stepping stone for a lot of people. And I don't know the answer on how to do that, but maybe as a collective group, we can do something about it, you know?
When I come in and pretty much from day one, you know, and I don't know, G, I don't know, under his breath, G may have cussed me. I don't know, but I was all questions and what about doing this? And what about doing that? And one of the things is, and that's why the After Hours show came about, was to talk about the creative side of it and the media side of it and feature new channels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Was that we're growing our channels and we have our audience. We're going to pull people from our promotions. We're going to pull people from the YouTube side. And yes, some of those will bring over to gun channels, and that's great. You know, but you've got creators here that don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, as much. And then, you know, the thing about that, you know, like Yankee, for example, except for the Thursday podcast, Gun Channels gets mentioned very little by Yankee, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you run the channel the way you want to run your channel. I'm not saying that, but you know, the way I think what we need to do is reach out to other creators. Okay, that's going to broaden our reach, you know, broaden our audience reach. So, I mean, that's, I think, instead of trying to promote to people and viewers, why don't we try to bring in more talent and more creators, and we bring their audiences along with them. And that's where it goes that that G was trying to, you know, he was trying to bring in Hank Strange. Well, that would be great for the membership over here on Gun Channels, I think.
Absolutely.
But you know, we can get Hank Strange, and when you talk about big channels, okay, they sort of, I don't want to say they've got the big head, because this goes along too kind of with the Braden talk and stuff, but you know, they've got tens of thousands of subs, you know, so they don't really feel that there's a need that Gun Channels necessarily has anything to offer.
Yeah,
That
I would
sort
agree
of
with
thing.
that.
So if
I
we
think Gun
focus,
Channels is for the content creators. Gun Channels is going to be sexier for the smaller channels.
right, but if we could focus on smaller channels, you know, maybe several thousand subs at most, you know, we might can get those. And I mean, you know, even if we get one that's got, say, 5,000 subs, 3,000 subs, well, if we bring those into Gun Channels, and we get 200 or 300 members off that, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so I think the focus should be on the smaller creators, because you know, it's like we talk about on After Hours. It's a different game with YouTube and everything now. So
it is.
Those big channels, they're making it because they've already made it. You know, they're making it despite of what their channel velocity and that sort of stuff is what's carrying them. So if we can get the smaller creators, the ones that are working hard like the rest of us, then you know, we can kind of all grow together, and then Gun Channels is able to share that audience base.
And I will say that what I've enjoyed as far as my short time here is that everyone is so helpful in their, welcome these new people with open arms. And what I do like about it is most of the content creators do jump on everybody else's show. And I think that sharing audiences is a huge thing, because a lot of people watch Matt and Yankee, but have never heard of me or Clover, and just being able to sit in on Matt's chats every now and then. I mean, I'll probably get at least one or two every time I'm on one of his shows, just from people that saw my logo on Matt's chat that have gone to watch my videos. That's the cool thing about what Gun Channels can do, is, like you said, sharing audiences and all of that stuff. So, yeah, I mean, that's a big deal. Let's see here. Trying to see what is time over here looking around. Patriot says he's just looking around. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff around Gun Channels that people don't even know about. What were you saying?
Maggie just put it out the link on the YouTube side, I see, for the live schedule, it looks like.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I saw
someone had said there needs to be a guide, and he said there is a guide.
Right. Well, you got to know it's there.
That's right.
That's where I go back to, and I'm not knocking on anybody, because there's those that just didn't think about it, or I'm not saying anybody's necessarily lazy, but you've got to be involved in the platform. When you join it, you need to get in there and poke around and play with it. And I mean, we buy a new pistol. Do we just bring it home and put it in a safe and it stays there forever? Well, heck no. We're going to coon finger it for 6 hours before we ever load it, and then we're going to go out to the range every chance we get. We're going to play with it, right?
That's right.
Same thing when you come on Gun Channels. Click around, play around, look at stuff, figure out how it works.
Talk to people, ask questions.
Absolutely.
Well, exactly. And that's why I posted that link. He's like,
jump in the lobby chats. Those are the best parts.
Hey, listen, I'm not very smart, and I figured it out eventually with other people's help. I'm more than happy to help others if my brain is working that day.
Well, I will say this: when I started several months back, the schedule, it's been fixed. I went in and fixed it once. She gave me permission or whatever. I think I still may have permission to do it. But when I added my shows, he's like, just go in there and add them. Well, while I was in there, I fixed the schedule because it wasn't right at all. The time was off for Matt's chat, and it was just it was all screwed up.
Yeah. Well,
So,
the biggest thing with that is
it is fixed now for the most part.
Is really the schedule when that got thrown together or whatever. Like you said, G-Web gave a handful of us moderator status that can change that, and theoretically, the people that are running the shows should update their stuff, and people don't.
Right. Yeah.
So it is what it is. Like I'm trying to go back to saying we're all a bunch of dudes, sitting in our basements, in our garages, working our full-time jobs or whatever. So, I will admit it's not perfect, and that's, I will say this, I
may have been a little defensive earlier. So sorry about that, SC. I understand you're just pointing stuff out, trying to help out. I get it, but you know, it's one of those things. We're all looking together. We're all working. So
see, I'm looking now. I'm looking now, and Matt's thing on Sunday, it shows 7 a.m.
Yes, it does.
So,
yeah.
And the times don't really specify if they're Mountain Time or Eastern Time.
it says Eastern.
Oh, it says Eastern now.
Well, at least at the up at the top where it says the where it's got the early watch and the daily gun show. Those show and they say Eastern. Now none of the other ones do, but that one does.
And that is something, Smeg, that you might want to look at doing. Is at the very top of the live page, maybe in big old block letters, all times shown are Eastern Standard Time or something like that.
I'm fixing that right now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I'm gonna add it. I'm in there fixing Matt's schedule anyway.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
It's about time.
So I'll do that. Not a problem. I'll find a way. I don't know where to put.
If you're out there and you're either not on gun channels or you're new to gun channels and haven't really kind of looked around, there's a lot of really cool stuff there on gun channels. You know, there's you know, on the community. Let me go to the gun channels real quick. So, all right, yeah. So on the page at the top left says community. And it says what to do, and it'll say things to do on gun channels. I mean, that's some good stuff right there that will, you know, a lot of people didn't know that. You could ask a question. You know, that there's mostly at the bottom of everything it says askgunquestions.com. I mean, most people don't scroll down to the bottom of the page to see that, but that's a really cool thing. Also, is like I said, there's an enormous amount of knowledge on gun channels that if you ever had a question, you know, there's someone on gun channels that can answer it, and they're usually in the lobby chat. So the lobby chat has been the coolest thing, that being able to obviously stream my show on gun channels and tap into that community has been awesome for me. But the lobby chat, man, I enjoy it. Like, I'll be at work, and even if I can't actually interact with it, I mean, I'm gonna have my earbuds in a lot and just, or on my laptop and have it going. It's like Bill says, it's kind of background stuff for me, which I love. It's great.
Well, you know, it's one thing to watch a lot of gun videos, which I still do, I'll admit.
Yeah.
But it's a whole other thing entirely to be able to actually talk back to somebody and have a dialogue where you can actually ask the questions and get the answers, which is what I love about this place.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well said, Gary. You know, and there's a lot of people that will never ever, for whatever reason, jump in the lobby chat or and all that, but you don't have to be a contributing factor to a lobby chat to learn an enormous amount of information. And I think Clover had said it, you know, or I don't know who it was. They all seem to run together these days. You know, the funny thing is, you know, when you're a content creator, there's so many shows going on in between the shows and lobby chats. Like, you're either in front of a camera or behind a microphone literally every night. And I love it. But all the conversations kind of, they mesh together now. But someone was talking about, a couple nights ago maybe, was the, what the hell? Sorry about that. What was I talking about? Good God. My mind has gone blank. I'm dumb. What were we talking about a couple nights ago? Holy hell. I'm losing it. I've absolutely lost my fucking mind.
Hey, Ghost, what day is it today?
Yeah. I don't know. It's Sunday because I'm watching NFL football. That's the only way I know.
Just checking.
Right.
If you didn't have NFL football, I wouldn't have known it. Shit. What the hell are we talking about?
Brain fart.
Don't know.
I don't know. Fuck it. Somebody else take the wheel. No.
Well, I just did some work on the schedule, so
Oh, did you? Okay.
yeah, I added Eastern Time Zone actually in 2 places.
Oh, okay, good. Someone said, "Yes, he says somebody reboot Ghost." Well, I wish it was that easy, man.
And also added, at least on my shows, I added the topic. It's got the topic over there. Other than the Guns and Geeks podcast, there wasn't anything even written over there on topic. So,
yeah.
Of course, a lot of the shows are not. Mine are broken up. I can kind of specify what the topics are, but a lot of the shows on here, they're just kind of random.
Yeah, that topic thing was added for people update every week if they had something planned out already. Pop that in there so people get a better idea. Some of the shows have guests every week, like put the guest that's going to be on or whatever. But yeah, not a lot of people use it.
What are you talking about? Topic area?
Clear to the right.
Where's that at? On my individual channel?
On the schedule.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant yeah. Never mind. I thought you meant like we had a topic thing on like my individual channel. Like I never seen.
Oh no, the top left where it says Gun Channels, one of the links is topics from the drop down menu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, man, we've been going hard at it for 2.5 hours, and all I want to do is get on a Sunday afternoon and talk about the conference. Do you guys have anything that is 2A related that we want to discuss before we get out of here?
I just want to reiterate, everyone better show up in Chicago next year. Let's show these guys what new media actually is.
Absolutely. Chicago, the great thing about Dallas and Chicago, which I'm surprised they're not there usually or in there because those are in the middle of the country. So it's relatively easy to get there from anywhere. You can catch a flight to Dallas or Chicago from literally anywhere. And it's in the middle of the country, so you're not having to worry about driving or flying all the way across country. It's right there. So as far as the excuse of travel, aside from time and money, those are legitimate, and I get those. But if those aren't an issue, and it's just you don't want to go because you don't want to get in a car or get in a plane to fly, for one weekend out of the year, let's put that shit aside and let's say, hey, let's try to get 20 or 30 of us to meet up in Chicago and show them what's really going to go on, because that would be awesome. That would be truly, truly awesome.
I second that motion, Your Honor.
Who the hell are you talking to? You must be talking to Smeggy.
So yeah, you know how at like the end of today, they did the referendums or whatever. Whereas in blah 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 da do.
This first day of October 2017.
I'm going to do that right now. Whereas in October 1st, 2017, our Gun Channels members are going to show up to the Gun Rights Policy Conference in 2018.
I love it. I love it.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay, going to a vote. Aye.
Aye.
And I'm not even going to ask for nays, because if you say nay, get the hell out of here.
I will hit the damn eject button.
Hillary Clinton, aye.
Well, yeah. Well, your what's it, your uncle or your grandpa or something's Bloomberg? I forget what they said.
Screw that. I'm out of here. Bye.
and guys, we've all talked about meeting up at different places at SHOT or in Tulsa or different places. I've only met one person on Gun Channels, and I happened to be G last week or whatever. But we all are.
2 weeks ago.
What?
Me too. 2 weeks ago.
So the cool thing about that is we all are talking to each other quite a bit, and we're all really I would consider most of these guys close friends, but never met, and that'd be a cool thing to go to a bar and do all that and talk in person. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
All right, let's get wasted in Chicago next year.
I'm all in.
And I can say, coming from someone who has met quite a handful of Gun Channels people, you know, the NRA conference and just different places when I'm traveling for work. You know, it's cool. It's like you're meeting up with a friend. You already know him because you've talked to him a bunch.
SC said he says negative. He says someone has to trigger Smeggy. So SC's taking one for the team.
Well, I'll trigger Snuggy because I don't normally travel the states that don't let me carry. Because I have a higher regard for my life than that. So, you know, Chicago's this really shitty place to meet.
Well, like I said, it's like the suburb of Chicago or something. It's somewhere near there.
Oh,
So
we're not going to the South Side ghettos, you know.
Oh God, no.
Also, I bet you every single person that goes there from Illinois will be concealed carrying. Granted, they don't recognize anyone else's states, but at least the hometown people can protect us.
Yeah, so Tony will take care of us with that. He'll be security for the group.
Maybe we could all go together and apply for non-resident permits.
There you go.
That would be funny. That would be funny.
Don't we need everybody has to make sure they have a passport before they go into Chicago, right?
Passport.
No, that's California.
Papers, please.
All right. Well, guys, anybody else have anything they want to plug? Well, you know what? Since it's not really a live show necessarily, the show, but let's go ahead and like we always do, let's run through the room. So, John, you got any final words of wisdom or anything?
Wisdom. Just check out gunchannels.com and check out all the members and watch your favorite shows, watch your favorite YouTubers, and get in on the chat. And don't forget, get in touch with your representatives. Don't sit around waiting for things to happen. Make them happen.
That's right. Bill, can you hear me? If you've got anything, go for it.
I just added the oh god, no, I can't remember the name of it. The big Tulsa
Wanamaker.
Yeah, Wanamakers. Since I was catching up on what do you call it, daily gun show videos today. I heard them talking about it, and they were like, "Well, I think it's in November, blah blah blah." So I went and looked it up.
November 11th, yeah.
Yeah, so I went and posted it, and I'm seriously considering going. So
I'm going. I'm going to be there.
It's a little far for me to drive.
Only 3 hours for me.
Yeah, it's like the November 11th or 12th or something like that, but it's in Tulsa. I'm going to be there. I know Foose is going to go. I think Rolf said he's coming from Florida. I think G's going to be there. I'm trying to get Clover to come, so there's going to be quite a few of us that are going to be there. So Gary, you're only a few hours away. You should maybe think about it.
Yeah, I should.
Try to fly in Friday and fly out on Monday.
Yeah.
And
you don't have to worry about a car or
again,
anything, because I'll have mine, so you can ride around with me if you want.
Yeah, most of the places have shuttles to both the convention center and the airport.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
John, it's the Whataburger. Whataburger, yep.
Whataburger.
Okay.
Yeah. I want to make a Whataburger.
Yeah, so if you guys are out there on YouTube or the Gun Channel side, if you're going to be anywhere close to Tulsa, Oklahoma, weekend of November 11th, it's the largest gun show in the world. Actually, it's like over 4,000 tables. And it's pretty awesome. It's exhausting, so just be prepared for that. But it's really awesome stuff. And I think even G was saying that if anyone can, to get up there around Thursday, because he's thinking about one of the days prior going to the range and get some shooting in. And then the other day we would go to the museum that he was just at last week and kind of go through the museum. So if you're able to do that and make it a longer trip, that would be awesome as well.
So you're saying maybe Thursday instead of Friday?
I would say, I don't know what day he plans to go to the museum, but he wanted to spend one day going to the museum and another day going to the range and getting some shooting in. But I don't know which days it would be. You might want to talk to G. But yeah, if you want to fly in Thursday,
it's going to be before the show because everything's closed on Mondays apparently in Tulsa. So there's no use staying after because everything's closed. Yeah, so I think they were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Everything is closed.
Yeah, because I'm driving back Sunday night,
What day is everything
Um,
closed?
I guess Monday.
These God-fearing people, they open Saturday but close Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow.
Let's see here. Gary, what you got going on? Anything?
Well, I just wanted to throw in now, I may be one of the oldest members of the group here, but I'm also fairly new to firearms. I mean, I've only been a handgun owner for a couple of years now. So if there's anybody out there that thinks, well, I'm too new to be involved in this, don't think that. Go ahead and jump into GunChannels, get involved. You can learn, and believe it or not, there's things you can share too. So
Oh
don't
yeah,
be.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, um, I think that's it's just kind of my personality as much as anything. But for the day that I joined Gun Channels, I know it might be hard for some of y'all to believe this, but I'm a kind of confident guy. I don't get shy very often. I also don't get my feelings hurt very often, which is I guess a good thing. But I just jumped right into the lobby chat. People are like, who the hell is this dude? You know, and it's true though. I mean, I just jumped right in um and that's that. I think that's why I've enjoyed it so much. Is I wasn't afraid to just jump on in and offer my opinions and my ideas, and I think that's it's welcoming as long as you're not completely full of shit. I think that people won't care, but if you are full of shit, it won't take very long to find you out. I promise, because there, like I said, there's a lot of knowledgeable people, and you'll get figured out pretty quickly.
And even if you are, I mean, we put up with John every once in a while, so
If he's not getting upset or offended, we're just going to have to start trying harder.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing. I mean, there are going to be arguments, there are going to be disagreements, just like in everyday life. But at the end of the day, I think everyone here is here for the same reason. So that does help, you know. Smeg, what you got going on? I know you got something on. You have something on Tuesday coming up. I can't remember.
I don't have any idea. Probably nothing. But
Yeah.
no, actually, I am going to promote the Gun Show Loophole Tour with gun websites. Check them out, patreon.com/gun websites. Check out gun websites on YouTube
Gunwebsites.com.
and Instagram, all that stuff. If you don't know what he's doing by now, then you must really be new. And anyways, he's doing good work. Obviously, he was there at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, which was what we've been talking about all day today. And yeah, cool guy. Send him a couple of bucks, eh?
Absolutely. Monday, do we know what time Every Second Matters is going to air? Have they made that determination yet? Or actually, it's tomorrow. Yeah, do you know what time it's going to kick it off tomorrow?
I don't know. I'm going to guess it's going to be, I don't know. I'm going to say around, honestly, kind of like probably around dinner time East Coast, like before match chat and all that stuff.
Okay, so
if you wait till after, it's
like all right. Or whatever. So be looking on Gun Channels. If you go into the lobby tomorrow on Gun Channels, when Every Second Matters does kick off, there will be links and all that stuff. So, but check out Every Second Matters talking about the Gun Rights Policy Conference. Every Second Matters is a really cool show that happens on the second of every month. They talk about what's happened in the last month and all of that. So it's a really cool show. So check that out as well, guys. Like I said, I just fired this up because I was excited about the conference, and it was Monday afternoon, and besides football, there was nothing else going on. So we had like a bunch of people watching and contributing and talking about it. And I think that anytime we can do this, even if it's in a small pocket of the world, is a good thing. So I appreciate everybody coming by, and check out Every Second Matters tomorrow. Check out all the live shows this week. We appreciate everybody sticking around and having fun. And until next time, Semper Fi.